Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Locked down!
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
And away we go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Hello to you, and how do you do? Great to be with you one more time again. I am Rob Brown. What's up? Good to be with you this afternoon on a Tuesday afternoon. Back in the network studio in charge of buttons, switches, gears, pulleys, wheels, levers, fulcrums, and all other necessary apparatus to get us on the air and sounding as good as we do every day. The great one, Colonel Grudge, the content cash cow, the alpha and the omega of ESPN Upstate, hashtag dad kicks. My man Zoe is in charge of the broadcast. What up, Zoe?
So Rob, I just I got a weird friend request on Facebook. It's from a guy named Drew Brees.
You got friended by Drew Brees on
It's not that Drew Brees though.
Okay.
You get those Facebook, you get those pop-ups saying that, someone is a friend request, and I immediately see Drew Brees. It's not that Drew Brees.
Did you have a bit of a panic for just a second?
No.
Your immediate thought was, Rob's going to be so mad.
Well, that was like my second thought. My first thought was yeah, why wouldn't he want to be my friend?
Yeah, obviously.
So
Big fan of the show is future Hall of Famer first ballot Drew Brees.
So should I just accept it off a name alone?
Yeah, just so you can say you're friends with Drew Brees on Facebook and it's not a lie. Obviously, you should do that.
All right, this may be a mistake, but I just hit confirm. Okay, all right.
Lonzo, who is friends with Drew Brees on Facebook.
I am.
The genuine Sean Payton follows me on Twitter, like the actual verified account.
Yeah, but you've met him. You've supped with him, if I recall.
It's been
yes.
a decade, but it has happened. So, by the way, I don't know for like a set. Like I know you sat down and had dinner with, but when you said you've supped with him, my immediate thought was Sean Payton looking at me and going, "Sup." Like I don't know why that was the picture that popped into my head, and not that thing that actually happened of having dinner with Sean Payton. Nope, it was sup.
Did he? As you sup, did he sup?
I don't think so.
He
said sup to me. I think it was more of a, hey, I'm Sean, nice to meet you kind of situation. But if there was an NFL coach that was going to look at you and go, sup, it's definitely Sean Payton.
Did he at least cool nod you?
No, we did a handshake to start when we first met. And then it was a fist bump. He's a fist bump guy on the way out.
Okay, so there was you guys both reached for a biscuit at the same time. He looked at you and went, sup. Like, yes, do you know who I am? Yeah.
Across the table over a candlelit dinner.
I wasn't going that way. I was going like, hey, man, I'm Sean Payton. It's my biscuit. That's what I was thinking. But,
Oh, man. The Rob Brown Show and you're ready. Lots of sports to get to today. Ton of stuff we're going to get into. Trevor Lawrence, the potential details of his contract have begun to leak out. We're going to take a look at what the Jags are about to pay TL16 and discuss what the future might hold for the former Clemson Tiger great. Speaking of former Clemson Tiger greats, a guy that it's not going great for right now, Deshaun Watson. Zoe, have you noticed it has been suspiciously quiet about the Deshaun Watson case down there in H-Town? It has been suspiciously quiet about what's going on with Deshaun. I have a theory why. And we're going to talk about that coming up here in just a little while. The NBA player I most like to clown on is having a year that is going to go down in the history books. I'm going to tell you who it is and what they are doing to tell Rob Brown to just shut the hell up about it. That's coming up in just a little while. Speaking of NBA players who have officially stepped in it, one of LeBron James's teammates have unintentionally thrown some shade at Bron. And the tide of popular opinion has put LeBron into a very interesting situation. We're going to talk about that coming up, plus what might happen that could cost the Lakers a chance at the repeat because directly of LeBron James. So that's coming up here in a few minutes as well. And Keegan says, I see boxing is on the topic list. Are we talking about Chad Ochocinco boxing? First and foremost, did I miss something? Is Ocho stepping into the ring? Is Chad Ochocinco about to step into the ring? I don't know. We're going to look that up. But no, boxing has a legitimate title fight coming up, one that I think could go a very long way into perhaps starting, I'm not going to call it a golden age because it's not there, but perhaps starting a new age of interest in the world of the sweet science. So all that and more coming up. Let's just jump right into it. Lonzo. Let's get the show started.
Let's do lunch.
This is a very nutritious lunch. All the food groups are represented.
You guys are here. This is scuttlebutt.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here? Lunch! Lunch!
Keegan says Chad Ochocinco is going to be an undercard fight for the Mayweather-Jake Paul fight.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I don't see an opponent, though.
Oh, is it because he's not doing it for an actual box? He's doing it to make some money.
Well, he's got to fight somebody, right? He's not just going to step through the ropes and say he stepped in the ring.
They're going to throw him in there with some other scrub, some low-level professional fighter. They're going to throw him in there with somebody that he might have a puncher's chance if he trains well, but ultimately is going to either get knocked out or go the distance in a snoozer.
I don't know about you, but I'm free on that day.
I'm not giving it. Not only am I not giving a dime, not only am I.
No. I mean to step in the ring with Ochocinco.
Oh, gotcha. You want to crack at Ocho?
Yeah. I'm there.
Lonzo wants a crack at a recently retired NFL player in the boxing arena.
Recently retired.
All right, he's only been out of the league, what, like 5-6 years now?
Is that still recent? I wouldn't say that's recent.
Relatively speaking. I mean, he's no spring chicken.
What's the payday? I know it's exhibition, but there's a payday, right?
Legit. Are you stepping into the ring to box Chad Ochocinco, Zoe, for, let's call it, $80,000?
Yeah, I'll do that. And I guarantee you it's going to be a Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash kind of finish. He's going to look good, though.
Chad Ochocinco 1-0, but $80K poorer for it. Let's get into our lunch breakdown. The 3 things you have to know before you go start talking sports with your friends, family, coworkers, or the dog. Trevor Lawrence's rookie deal. We don't know exactly what the numbers are yet because it has not been signed. But according to Field Yates of ESPN, the figures have already been set for the value of a 4-year deal plus a team 5th-year option. Field Yates says that deal will be worth $36.793 million with a signing bonus of $24,118,900. It will surpass that of last year's number 1 overall pick, Joe Burrow, who signed a 4-year deal worth $36.19 million and a signing bonus of $23.88 million. Burrow's contract was also fully guaranteed, and that will likely be the case for Lawrence as well. When breaking down the signing bonus, it will be prorated over his 4-year deal in increments of $6.029 million per year. He's projected to have salary amounts of $660K in his first year, $2.3 million his second, $4 million in his third, and $5.6 million in his fourth, respectively. And then obviously they've got that 5th-year option out there as well. The last 3 first overall pick sign their deals between early May or late July. Kyler Murray signed his right out the gate. Baker Mayfield and Joe Burrow both pushed theirs a couple of months down the line. But it would not shock me if TL16 goes ahead and gets his out of the way. What does the future hold? What does the future hold for Trevor Lawrence? What direction, what trajectory do we see his career taking as he gets into the league? There's a lot of speculation. Trevor Lawrence looks like a prototype quarterback. He's got the length. He's got the ability to get outside the pocket. He's got the accuracy. He's got the knowledge of the game. So what can we expect out of Trevor Lawrence? I have seen some folks that say that they are they believe that Trevor Lawrence is a Hall of Famer. They believe Trevor Lawrence is a guy that can put himself in the Hall and have a career. I've seen other folks who have said that Trevor Lawrence is, now I want to say frequent, but Trevor Lawrence's repeated disappearances from some of the biggest games in his career lead them to believe that Trevor Lawrence may not be cut out to be the top dude at the NFL level. Here's what Mel Kiper Jr. said is in the future for Trevor Lawrence after the draft this past weekend. Sure, why not, Mel? Why not? I didn't need you to talk right there. Let's try that again.
Why Urban Meyer took this job was knowing he had a quarterback that could be one of the great young quarterbacks in this league. A league loaded with superstars at that position. In order to win a Super Bowl, you got to have your own top guy. He's historic. He's just not really good. He's historically great. And when you get a Trevor Lawrence, you have to believe his career, when it's all over and said and done, will probably have a minimum of 2 to 3 Super Bowls that he at least plays in.
Well, if so, then he is going to buck this trend. What you are looking at on your screen are the only 3 quarterbacks drafted in the first round since 2010 out of 34 quarterbacks with a Super Bowl ring. And you will make note of the fact that Blaine Gabbert and Carson Wentz, neither of them played in the Super Bowl. So a better way to put the stat, and it's a good way to illustrate it there, but guys, of the 34 quarterbacks who've been drafted in the first round.
All right, yeah, I thought there was more Mel there. But anyway, you get the point. Since 2010, 3 quarterbacks have gone on to win a Super Bowl. Blaine Gabbert this past year, obviously as a backup for Tampa Tom, Patrick Mahomes in 2019, and Carson Wentz back in 2017. So the trend has been against first-round quarterbacks making it to the league, although that is 3 out of 10 quarterbacks, 3 of them, so 33% of the Super Bowls in the last decade went to quarterbacks drafted out of the first round, and that's all first rounds altogether. Zoe, I know you've had some critiques and criticisms of Trevor Lawrence. Again, the guy is arguably the most polished NFL draft pick in a hot minute. He is the prototype. He seems to be built to be a standout NFL quarterback. What is the number one biggest concern for you that would separate Trevor Lawrence from greatness at the NFL level?
Well, it's kind of a tie. It's what you mentioned earlier, the fact that he's disappeared against really good defenses, but he also played pretty well against Alabama. But the last couple of years, you look at Ohio State, you look at LSU, they figured him out. And if they figured him out, the guys at the next level are going to figure him out pretty quickly. And the other factor is, can Urban Meyer coach an NFL team? We don't know.
All right, item number 2 on the lunch breakdown. It looks like the Houston Texans may actually be preparing to separate themselves from Deshaun Watson, according to some insiders. The Texans obviously used their first pick in the draft to draft Stanford quarterback Davis Mills, as Deshaun continues to wade his way through 22 individual lawsuits accusing him of sexual misconduct. Adam Schefter has said that there are a number of folks in league circles that believe that Deshaun Watson will not play this year, and that was why the Texans decided to go ahead and go with the quarterback. Keep in mind, it's not just the fact that they elected to draft a QB It's the fact that they elected to draft a QB when there are so many other needs on that roster that they have to deal with. Shefty said, quote, the Texans used their first pick in the draft on a quarterback, the 67th overall selection. They could say it's the best player on the board or whatever they want, but the fact of the matter is there are people in league circles who believe Deshaun Watson will not play this season. There are some people who believe his career in Houston is over, and the Texans know they face a tremendous amount of quarterback uncertainty, which is why they used the third round pick on Davis Mills. Mills joins the Texans QB room that already features Tyrod Taylor, Ryan Finley, as well as Deshaun Watson if he is there. So some starting quarterback questions in Houston. There are also reports coming out that the Texans did indeed plan on creating a bidding war for Deshaun Watson, one that included the potential for getting Tua Tagovailoa out of Miami. The Houston Chronicle's John McClain wrote in January that that, quote, under no circumstances will the Texans trade Watson, but after his reputation took a nosedive and his future as an NFL quarterback entered peril, the insiders are now saying down in Houston that the Texans' plan was to get the most serious teams into a bidding war before GM Nick Caserio, with Cal McNair's approval, accepted the best offer that ideally would have included at least 3 first-round picks, a pair of second-round picks, and a defensive starter. We already knew that the Dolphins, Jets, Panthers, Broncos, Niners, Patriots, Bears, and Washington football team were all interested in a deal. The Dolphins were prepared to part with Tua Tagovailoa and the number 3 pick that they used dealt to the San Francisco 49ers, and that was their jumping off point. So the Texans were in the market to trade Deshaun Watson ultimately. Now, the thing we're going to come back and talk about here in just a minute, as we continue to watch what's going on with Deshaun Watson, you'll notice the attorneys, Tony Buzbee and Rusty Hardin, have both been suspiciously quiet over the past week and a half, 2 weeks or so. I have a theory on why, and I'm going to tell you what that is coming up in the next segment. And finally, we are one step closer, ladies and gentlemen, to boxing actually having a match that might be worth watching. Smoke coming out of the boxing world that Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury may be signing a contract to get their first fight on, a fight that would unify the heavyweight championship sometime later on this year. We have not seen the details of the contract. We're waiting to see what they agree to. There have been delays. Some folks in the camps have gotten frustrated that it has not been done yet, but there are boxing insiders that have been coming out saying that they expect that contract to be signed sometime in the next week. We're going to talk about the potential for that fight and what good it might do in the world of boxing coming up later on in the show. But let's take a break. When we come back, I know you guys have been interested in it, but Tony Buzbee and Rusty Hardin have both been suspiciously quiet about the Deshaun Watson case over the past couple of weeks. Why? I've got a theory. I'll tell you what it is when we come back. I'm Rob Brown. Zoe's at the board. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen up.
Ben, what's up, buddy? Welcome to the stream. Great to have you, man. Appreciate you coming to check in with us. We've seen in the past you only have to go out and take one punch before you get paid. Yeah, I'd box Ocho Cinco for $80K, especially if I could get myself 4 or 5 months heads up, at least get in good enough shape to take a punch and not immediately go to sleep. But hey, if I go to sleep, $80K, man. $80K. That's 2 months salary for me, man. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Good to have you guys along. Happy May the 4th be with you, by the way. May the 4th be with you. Forgot to say that on air. Yes. Yes, I would have to, Ben. I absolutely would have to. This is a true story, and this may shock you, or it may not. Never been punched in the face and have no interest in doing so, to tell you the truth. I've got zero interest in being punched in the dome. None at all. None at all.
So you're saying, and you spend a lot of time around boxing, that you wouldn't step inside the ring with Ocho Cinco for a decent payday?
I know you were doing your live read. I literally just said I absolutely would. Absolutely would.
I know some other people I'd like to volunteer to get in the ring too, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, what's a payday for an exhibition match? I mean, what do you get paid for something like that?
No idea. But I would like to find out.
Now, we're not talking about doing it locally because we don't want to do that. We're talking about on a national stage where we're going to get a real payday.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
If I'm doing it, I'm getting paid, son.
And I'm just guessing that you probably picked up a few tips, during your boxing days that you might be able to bob and weave and dance around a little bit and last a while.
Yeah, I took some sparring lessons from old Roy.
It's all about footwork. These exhibition guys, they don't get in there and they don't have footwork. You got to have some footwork.
Zoe, I'm gonna left-hand turn here. Drive baseball opening day is tonight. I don't know how that flew under my radar. Taking on Bowling Green.
Wait, Bowling Green has a team? Is this Bowling Green, Kentucky or Bowling Green, Ohio?
Bowling Green minor league baseball. The Bowling Green Hot Rods, based out of Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Okay.
The Hot Rods.
You're impressed that I knew that there's a Bowling Green in Ohio and Kentucky.
Well, you're from Ohio, and the famous one is in Kentucky. So,
well, the family's from Kentucky too, but
so you're from both of the states that have Bowling Green. If you can name the other Bowling Green in the United States, then I'll be impressed.
I can't.
I don't even know if there was one. I was just doing that to see what happened.
So you thought that I'd be arrogant and go, oh, yeah, I could do that.
You literally could have guessed any state and had a decent chance. There's a Bowling Green, Florida, Indiana, Kentucky, Maryland, Missouri, Bowling Green, New York, Bowling Green, Ohio, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, and Virginia. There's also a Bowling Green in Amaranth, Ontario, Canada, in Cornwall in the UK, in Trevor in the UK, in Shropshire, in Worcestershire, and Southampton on Old Bowling Green.
So what exactly is a bowling green that would make people, it's a green you can bowl on, I suppose.
That's exactly correct. There's an old British yard game called bowling, and if you had a big open grass area to play, it was called a green, so you had a literal bowling green.
Wow.
So you wish you could get rid of all the dumb things that you know to make room for more important things to know?
But you never know when an opportunity like this is going to pop up and you get to talk about it. So, I mean, that's what it's stored there for occasions such as this. So you can educate the masses or 5 to 10 people. I don't know how many a mass is, but it's, at least 10 people. 30 seconds.
I had two come up during the show. Scratch that. I had two come up during the soccer game in front of Mark Ryan and tell me how much they really enjoy and appreciate the show. So between us two, Stacks, Keegan, and my mom, that's 5. I think 5 is a mass, relatively speaking.
Works for me.
What's up, Stacks? Good to see you, big dog. Thanks for coming by, man. Your college dorm, that would be Rolling Green, Stathakis. Very different. Very different.
Filtered sports talk brewed locally.
Oh my God, a hipster! Bring him a microbrew, quick!
This is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. So things have been very quiet, suspiciously quiet. I have said too many times on the show today about the Deshaun Watson lawsuits, 22 of them going on right now. We learned throughout the last couple of days that the Texans were indeed looking at moving Deshaun Watson. They likely are planning for Deshaun Watson not to play this year, hence their drafting of a quarterback in the 3rd round of the draft to add to a quarterback room that already had a pair of backups in it behind Deshaun Watson. So these two lawyers, Busby and Harden, have both been remarkably quiet about where they stand right now with these lawsuits, right? Remarkably quiet as to where they stand. And so that leads me to theorize. It leads me to believe, I would suspect that we've got settlements coming. Out of court, financial monetary settlements coming down the pipe. My suspicion would be, and I have talked with, again, I've got a couple of attorneys that I've kept in close contact with about this case, watching it play out. I have got a friend who is a lawyer who specializes in these types of cases. I've got another one who is a public defender and knows how the workings of a situation like this would play out, even though he does not deal with civil cases. He understands how they play. Both of them have said the same thing, which is that they are of the belief that settlements are coming down the pipe. If Tony Busby, a guy who was notoriously outspoken for the first few weeks that these trials were in the news cycle, the fact that he has been as quiet as he has been, that he has really said nothing over the past week and a half. It was 2.5 or what? I guess a week and a half ago at that press conference, not last Friday, but the Friday before, was really the last time that we have heard from the attorney representing the women. The belief is that they are going to settle these cases with Deshaun Watson, which would then open up the ability for the Texans to trade him and for Deshaun Watson to get on with his NFL career. If Watson can settle the cases, he can be traded once the window closes. As a practical matter on the ability to trade Deshaun Watson, the plaintiffs have less leverage and Watson has more incentive to dig in and fight. So the thought here, Zoe, is that Deshaun and his agents are in a hurry to get him traded before the window, which is probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks, close out. They might be more willing to settle for more money, and Deshaun might be more willing to go ahead and settle instead of dig it and fight this thing in a civil court so that he can be done with the Texans, get his next contract, get on his way. If the window closes, if the opportunity for Deshaun to be traded does close, then Deshaun can't go anywhere, which would make him more likely to dig at his heels, would make him more likely to put in the effort to fight these cases, and would put a heftier burden back onto the plaintiffs, back on to the women. Watson would simply be able to report for training camp with the Texans, accept an assignment to the commissioner exempt list, receive a salary this upcoming year, use part of that money to finance any more court cases that may end up indeed in front of a civil court. Listen, I'm not an attorney, nor did I stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night. As of right now, the best option for Deshaun Watson, the football player, might be to go ahead and just accept the reckoning, right? At this point, there really aren't going to be many, if any, NFL teams that are lined up. If Deshaun goes through the exempt list, goes through and pays his dues, and I'm saying his dues. I'm not saying that Deshaun's guilty and he's got to pay for it. I'm saying pays his dues in terms of actually going through the process to settle and all that. Then there's going to be a couple of teams that are out there that may very well say and take everybody deserves a second chance. He made a mistake, and we want to give him the opportunity to make it right route, as they have with folks like Ben Roethlisberger in the past.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Zoe.
I'm just going to say, but this case, I mean, it's not like it's one person. There are multiple people. If he settles, then, in the view of the majority of the public, then he's guilty. And the public buys tickets, and the public will not be happy with whatever team decides to give him that second chance because of how many women are accusing him. But I do agree with you that it has been awfully quiet. It does make you think that a settlement's on its way. But how long will he be out? So a team has got to believe that they can weather the storm that they're going to get coming from, media and public opinion. And they're also going to have to wait a while before he gets to play. So who's willing to put that money down and wait? That's got to be a very, very short list.
Yeah, the common belief right now is Deshaun's going to be serving probably an 8-game suspension. So even if you bring him in this year, even if he was able to play, you're only going to have him for half the season, which diminishes the amount of money that you might be willing to put into a contract. And I also agree with what Zoe said, which is if this dude settles 22 lawsuits, right? And that, by the way, is working under the assumption that all 22 women would want to settle. That there's no guarantee that all 22 of these women will want to settle. There might be, all it would take is one to reject all settlement offers and take this thing to a civil court and put Deshaun on the stand. There only has to be one. I don't know if there is. I don't have any inside information into that. But all it would take is one woman to say, no, I'm not settling. I want Deshaun to have to face the music and go through a court process, and it would throw a wrench into the system. So what does the future hold for Deshaun Watson? I don't know. The fact that, and here's the thing, real quick, I'll add this to that discussion. I was having this conversation with somebody the other day. I said, Rob, if there was even one woman who said that she does not want to accept the settlement, even one woman who said that she wants to force Deshaun Watson to go into a civil court and defend himself against her accusations, then Rusty Hardin would still be in the news making noise, right? And the answer is no, because as the representative for all 22 women, even if there is only one who wants to go to court, he is still going to try to get the biggest settlement that he can for the other 21 women. And that requires him to be quiet right now in the news to create a situation where Watson and Hardin and the Watson camp says, you know what? It might be worth us to say give $1 million a piece to each woman to make them go away and get past this story. And once, let's say, 21 of the 22 suits are settled, then he would turn the guns back up to full blast in order to get that last woman, hypothetical woman, a better opportunity to get this thing into a civil court and do some damage. So my theory right now is that Watson's attorney, Rusty Hardin, and the attorney for the 22 women, Tony Busby, are likely working behind closed doors to try to come up with some sort of settlement in order to be done with this so that Deshaun can move on with his NFL career, whether it's in Houston or with another team. or on the commissioner's exempt list for potentially up to a full season. That is my theory as to what's happening. But the fact that there's no reports, right? There's not even an intrepid young journalist who's been able to track down whether Harden and Busby's camps have been communicating with each other, which means they are flying under the radar intentionally. So I would suspect, Zoe, that there is a settlement coming. I would suspect that at some point in the near future, we're going to find out that Watson has put some checks down to some, maybe not all, but some of these women to get as much of this off of his plate as he can before he ends up in a civil court, which would effectively tank his ability to get a trade for this year.
So what team didn't get a quarterback this year who might be willing to do that? I mean, the first team that comes to mind is that same team that seems to be holding out, thinking they're going to get Aaron Rodgers, and that would be Denver.
Denver's in that fold. San Francisco, even though they drafted Trey Lance. I mean, if they could get Deshaun, I mean, Trey Lance, but keep in mind, and you hit on this already, Lonzo, the other aspect of this that you have to take into consideration is if you are a team, do you want the stigma, right? Ben Roethlisberger had, one or two accusations levied against him of sexual assault back in the day. When Ray Rice had his issue, which obviously was domestic assault, violence, not sexual assault, Ray Rice had a hell of a time cleaning up his image in the league. These are dudes that had one woman accuse them of impropriety. Deshaun's got 22 lawsuits. At the end of the day, the objective of a team is to make money and keep the fans happy. There's going to be some teams, though, that would have ordinarily put together that 3 first-round, 2 second-round package that Houston was looking for to bring Deshaun or send Deshaun out of H-Town. But there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to look and go, yeah, we're all for second chances, but 22 cases. This dude here's the part that Clemson fans and Deshaun fans that have had his back this whole time. Here's what you're going to have to realize, and Zoe, you nailed this. The majority of people in the NFL circles are going to dislike Deshaun Watson regardless of how these court cases finish up. Whether it's in a settlement, whether it's in a civil court, the majority of NFL fans, I think the majority, I could be wrong, Zoe, correct me if I'm stepping too far here, but I think a majority of NFL fans are going to be anti-Deshaun Watson after this all is said and done, because they're not going to be able to accept that there were 22 lawsuits and not one of them was a justified lawsuit. All 22 women are liars and extortionists. If you sign Deshaun Watson, you are going to bring the ire and hatred of a lot of NFL fans down on your team as well. That angle has to be considered when you talk about who might sign this guy to a future contract as well.
And non-NFL fans who believe that athletes get away with anything.
Yep, exactly right. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll get your thoughts on that. 71307, the Ingles Market text line is open at 71307. The phone line open as well, 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Hit us. Let's chat. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. Rob Lonzo, you, the ESPN Upstate, y'all.
The Rob Brown.
Hey, Zoe. Oh, he's on the phone.
Yes.
May the 4th be with you, buddy.
May the 4th be with you also.
TNT is having a Star Wars marathon today, running through every movie in order. And the answer is yes, it is on in the background. You know what I need to see? I think. See if this works.
We celebrated May the 4th Saturday.
You celebrated
And,
on your show.
Yeah. And
For some reason I thought you meant your family, and I was like, that's not how dates work.
well, sure it is. Even birthdays and things work that way if it's the only time someone's available, but that's not why. But we ranked all 11 movies from 1 to 11. Which, the response I got, the majority of the people, their number one is basically the same. So, what is your number one Star Wars movie of all time? By the way, thank you, Benjamin. Appreciate that.
Number one's just the straight up best Star Wars movie.
This is an opinion thing. It's your opinion.
I know, but I don't want to have a bad opinion. It makes me nervous. The best Star Wars movie. You are not going to like it, but the one that I have the one that I think has the most rewatchability. The correct answer is A New Hope. New Hope is the best, but the one that I think I would thoroughly enjoy watching the most, Lonzo, I know you don't. I love Rogue One.
Yeah, so that was my last, my 11th movie, and yes, even worse than any of the new ones was Rogue One. I guess it is a new one, but my number one was Empire Strikes Back.
I'm not mad about that either.
The greatest reveal ever in movies. Before that reveal, do you remember, but you were younger, I don't recall any other reveal in a movie having that impact to the point where everyone was talking about it. And, all other reveals since are compared to that. And as I talked about Saturday, it got spoiled for me because me and my buddy got to the theater early. And this guy said, "Hey, you want to go in and watch the end of the movie before and just wait till it starts again?" We're like, "Sure." We got in there just in time for Darth Vader to reveal that he's Luke's father. So the worst.
In fairness, that is kind of your fault, though.
No. That dude trolled me. Before trolling was a thing, that is the worst troll in my lifetime, and I appreciate it and hate the guy all at the same time. So we sat through the entire movie, and it was already revealed to us.
Look at this. We can have remote reporters now.
How'd you do that?
I logged in on StreamYard on my phone as well.
I've had people on their phone before, so here, we're coming back. What do you know?
Every weekday noon to 3. This is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN. Hey, may the 4th be with you all. May the 4th be with you. It is Star Wars Day, baby. You know that means we got to talk some Star Wars coming up in the final hour of the show. But before we do that, Wes has called in to talk about the Deshaun Watson situation. Wes, thanks for taking a few minutes. Great to have you on the show, bud.
All right. Hey, guys. My main question is this. If you're not guilty, why settle?
That is going to be the question that Deshaun Watson will have to answer to the public if he does indeed decide to settle, Wes. Deshaun Watson will have to address that in the court of public opinion, and any team that gives him his next chance, as down the road, I don't know when it will be, down the road, a team will give him another opportunity. Now, the easy answer is, Wes, because you don't want to have to go through the court process. You don't want to have to go through the exhausting and, in many cases, financially demanding aspects of a civil court. If somebody comes to you and accuses you of kicking their dog and is going to sue you over it, and you didn't do it, and they say they want a settlement of $2, but it's going to cost you $2,000 to hire an attorney. Even if you didn't kick the dog, it might be in your best interest to just give them the $2 and make them go away. The question's going to be, what are those settlement amounts going to look like? If Deshaun's forking over $1.5 million to every one of these women to make them go away, that is going to speak very loudly, Wes, in the court of public opinion, which is the only court that at that point Deshaun will have to worry about. But it is a very powerful and influential one to a professional athlete and any team that might be interested in signing them.
All right. Yeah. I'm still like what Lonzo said. In the eyes of the public, if he settles, he's going to be guilty.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And look, in the eyes of the public, and we know that, Wes, because in the eyes of the public opinion, he's already guilty for many people. I'm not saying for everybody, but if you go look through different NFL message boards, you will see that Deshaun Watson does not have a lot of public support. In fact, I would tell you, based on interviews that I have done on different stations in other parts of the country about this over the past handful of months, outside of the upstate of South Carolina, Deshaun Watson doesn't really have a lot of support right now, right? I've done interviews in Atlanta, in New Orleans. I did one in San Diego, and I did one in some small city. I mean, basically Chicago, but a suburb outside Chicago. I've done interviews about what's going on with Deshaun. Basically, all the teams that have been looking, all the markets that had some sort of, or a lot of markets that had some sort of connection to the potential of picking up Deshaun Watson. And, you know, all those teams have been asking, or all those radio stations have been asking, is it worth it? What's the, and every one of them have said, Deshaun isn't really a guy that fans of our team want our team to sign because they just don't support the guy right now. Outside of the upstate of South Carolina, West, Deshaun already has lost the support of a lot of NFL fans, which is going to make, if he does settle. Remember, the other part, Wes, is that Deshaun, when this all started, Deshaun Watson vowed to fight this, didn't he? Remember? He said on that Instagram post,
yep.
I vow to fight this. I will clear my name. I will show that I didn't do anything inappropriate, etc. If he vowed to fight this to prove his innocence, and then he settles a few months later, the league's fan perspective on Deshaun is not gonna be great, man. It's really not.
Right. Okay. Well, Rob, thanks for taking my call, and y'all keep up the good work.
Thank you, Wes. Much appreciated. Thanks for taking the time, bud. 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Text us on the Ingles Market text line at 71307, 71307. Take a break. We got a couple of texts. I want yours as well. Send us your text. You're the GM of a team like Denver that is currently looking at bringing in a new quarterback. You signing Deshaun Watson, you letting him go. Back after this. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate.
Prisma.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ESPN Upstate.
Prisma Health of the Upstate is committed to your safe care. They care about you. They care about your health. They care about your life as a whole. And that is why they have not only continued to take every single precaution to protect you from coronavirus, to protect you from any other health issues that you may be dealing with, but on top of all of that, they want to make it as safe and easy for you to get an appointment, to keep an appointment, and to look after your health as it is possible to do so. They offer those virtual appointments. You can check in on their website at prismahealth.org, prismahealth.org. And in doing so, you can set up a virtual appointment with the doctor of your choice, over 2,400 of them within the Prisma network. You can set up a virtual appointment with the doctor of your choice so that you can see a doctor, get your healthcare needs addressed without having to leave the safety and security of your home. And with multiple locations across the upstate and the Midlands, you can find yourself a doctor that you trust at a location that is convenient to you. Check it out at prismahealth.org, prismahealth.org, Prisma health.org, to get yourself set up with the leaders of healthcare in the upstate, the official healthcare providers of both the Gamecocks and the Tigers. It's our friends at Prisma Health of the upstate.
Order 66 has just been issued.
I'm watching it too. I am going to try one more time after the show is over, Lonzo, to find us a Greenville Drive Insider. I think I've got their GM lined up, but I'll have to call them after the show since it's opening day. Well, I say it's opening day. I'm looking out my window right now, so it
I watched you.
You saw that? Dude, that was loud.
Yeah, it was loud here too. So yeah.
It's not a scare, but I was definitely startled by it.
By the way, I know a guy with the drive. Interned here. I could ask him, tell him you're looking for a drive insider.
Let me call their GM after the show and see how that goes. And if I'm sure that they'll be willing to get us set up, but if they don't, then we'll go through your dude too.
Okay.
It's also impressive, Zoe, not crapping on this movie, but after watching the last few years of Marvel movies and all that, it is incredible how the CGI from this movie looks ancient, even though it's really not bad, but it just looks ancient compared to some of the other CGI based movies that have come out the last few years.
Yeah, that's the problem with technology. If it is a problem, is the more advanced it gets, the more ancient other things look. Yoda still looks better as CGI than he did as a puppet, though.
Hard disagree, man. The uncanny valley, it. All right, let me take that back, Zoe. Maybe it's nostalgia, right? Because I grew up with Puppet Yoda. I mean, CGI Yoda is a complete badass, no doubt about it. That fight in the Senate is one of the best Star Wars scenes of all. But Puppet Yoda, man, was great. I almost always go practical over.
I get it, but my problem with Puppet Yoda is I just hear Fozzie Bear. So I mean, that's the voice. It doesn't do the same in the CGI. It's I can depart from it easier than I can watching a Muppet, which is what he is. And I just think Fozzie Bear, and just
disappointed in you. I am. Bad is your take. That's a C plus B minus Yoda.
It's not bad. Again, you just got to be good enough for people to know what you're trying to attempt to do.
Yoda, I am. No, that was bad. I lost it.
Yeah, because you got too full of yourself.
Yeah, I got overconfident.
My wife is digging the shirt. I got the Grogu shirt on. The question is, had Grogu already escaped at that point when Anakin walked in there with the younglings, or was he still in that room and somehow got out of there? Or did Anakin let him go because he knows that Grogu is going to turn into something else eventually?
Well, so
hold that thought.
I'm trying to stitch together the timeline of about where Grogu would have been.
The ups and downs, the ins and outs, real, unfiltered sports talk. It's the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Wrapping up hour number one. We've got some weather rolling around the area right now that we are keeping an eye on for you. I'm pulling up the radar as we speak to see if we can get a better idea of what it's going to look like moving forward. But it is, I say that, Zoe. It was coming down during the break, and I just looked outside. Now it's completely stopped raining. I don't know how it is over on your side of town, over by the studio.
Cloudburst. It's still raining here, though. It's probably just a very small cell.
Yeah, we're looking right now, and it looks like the worst of it. The worst of it is up north of us. It's up towards Asheville, Boone, Lenoir, Hendersonville, up on the north end of the state line with North Carolina. But there are still some pretty really bad red on the radar cells out to the west of us, over towards Helen, Georgia, coming up from Atlanta, kind of taking almost a direct path from the ATL up towards Greenville. We are not out of it. And by the way, that cell extends. There's a line being pushed by a front that extends all the way from up by Clarksburg, West Virginia, almost all the way up to Pittsburgh, all the way down to Birmingham, Tuscaloosa. It's one solid line, one solid wall of storms. The worst of it, again, as of right now, the worst that's threatening us is north of Greenville right now, but there is a lot of dark red cells off to the west. And it looks like we're just going to kind of catch the front edge of that front, and then it's going to ride up north. And so this might be bad for a little while. So if you got to get outside, go ahead and get it done now, because it looks like it's going to get worse before it gets better. 2 hours left. Back after this, the Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's ESPN Upstate.
ESPN Upstate.
If you're talking to me, I can't hear you.
Ahsoka mentions in season 2 that he survived Order 66, that he was alive, and that he was raised in the temple in Coruscant. So someone got him out of there. The question is, when did they get him out of there? Did he go through the ductwork? Because that's usually how you escape things like that.
I appreciate your emphasis on the T in duct.
Yes. Well, didn't want to say ductwork.
Right.
That's a totally different thing, I'm thinking.
Fully aware what was going on before we learned Deshaun Watson needs 40 masseuses, allegedly. Okay? We have no idea what was going on between quarterback and that franchise, and the reason why he had already told them he's never coming back. And then what's happened since then. But all signs indicate, we will see, that a settlement might be approaching. Why would I say that? I hear a lot at the draft. When I go, I miss going to the draft. The chatter you hear, oh my gosh.
I'm so jealous.
The talk you hear from people. A chitter you hear. It's insane. I hear a lot just sitting from this chair, but it's deafening when you go to a major event like that.
Get to the point, Rich.
All you hear again, I don't know if it's going to happen. It may never happen. A settlement is potentially nigh between Deshaun Watson and whomever. And then we'll see. That could be placed in the hands of the commissioner. We'll see what happens if Deshaun gets suspended for whatever his behavior has been found to be. Now, obviously, if it's criminal, that's a whole different ball of wax. But if we're talking civil and what have you. You heard Daniel Jeremiah last hour. The Eagles have 3 first-round picks next year. Their own, the one they got from Miami to trade down from 6 to 12, and they still moved up from 12 to 6. from 12 to 10, and that's where they got Devontae Smith, who they couldn't get at 6.
Day. Warning.
And check this out.
For an official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show's back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. What a play. A little clip from the Rich Eisen podcast. Rich Eisen's podcast. Rich, of course, is an NFL insider. And from what I know about Rich Eisen, I've been a Rich Eisen fan for many years. I love Rich Eisen. Rich Eisen is, though, I think what this show would be if we were on a national level. Rich just has a good time, right? Just has fun. I love Rich Eisen.
Yeah, he is. He's the reason why I watch the NFL Network's draft coverage instead of the ESPN's. And even though he is, a Michigan fan, but well,
nobody's perfect.
I can get back. No, I love him. He's great.
I love Rich. Anyway, on his show, he talked about some inside information that is making its way around NFL circles right now regarding the Deshaun Watson case. Here's what Rich Eisen said on his podcast, where he said it is possible that a settlement may be coming sooner rather than later.
We are still not fully aware what was going on before we learned Deshaun Watson needs 40 masseuses, allegedly. Okay? We have no idea what was going on between quarterback and that franchise and the reason why he had already told them he's never coming back. And then what's happened since then. But all signs indicate we will see that a settlement might be approaching. Why would I say that? I hear a lot at the draft. When I go, I miss going to the draft. The chatter you hear, oh my gosh.
I'm so jealous.
The talk you hear from people. The chitter you hear. It's insane. I hear a lot just sitting from this chair, but it's deafening when you go to a major event like that. And all you hear again, I don't know if it's going to happen. It may never happen. A settlement is potentially nigh between Deshaun Watson and whomever. And then we'll see. That could be placed in the hands of the commissioner. We'll see what happens if Deshaun gets suspended for whatever his behavior has been found to be. Now, obviously, if it's criminal, that's a whole different ball of wax. But if we're talking civil and what have you, you heard Daniel Jeremiah last hour. The Eagles have 3 first-round picks next year. Their own, the one they got from Miami to trade down from 6 to 12, and they still moved up from 12 to 6, from 12 to 10, and that's where they got Devontae Smith, who they couldn't get at 6. And here's again, Philadelphia fans, you were like, what the hell? You're moving out of 6. We can't get Chase or Pitts. You wouldn't have gotten either one of them. You'd have been sitting there at 6, like the Dolphins. Do you want to get a protector for your new guy, for your Alabama quarterback, or do you want to go get Jalen Waddle for your Alabama quarterback? Instead, they moved down. They got a first rounder for next year. They wound up moving up, and they got the kid that they could have gotten at 6, but they got a first rounder in their back pocket.
Yeah, great move.
Right.
Great move.
Exactly. That was all born out of them sitting their Alabama quarterback.
All right, well, I don't need to break down. Point is, from Rich Eisen, that the Eagles, working with 3 first-round picks, are being considered a potential destination for Deshaun Watson. As much as they might like Jalen Hurts, they may love Jalen Hurts as their starter. Nobody, there's probably, if Deshaun Watson is in the clear right now, right? If he doesn't have all this stuff going on off the field, there are, probably 28, 29 quarterbacks in the league that your team takes Deshaun Watson to replace. If it's not heck, even Brady, man. Brady at 41. I if I'm Tampa Bay, I still might. You can't. You just won a Super Bowl, but Deshaun Watson would be one of the top 1 or 2 quarterbacks in the league as far as replacing whoever you have as a starter. And the Eagles, with 3 first-round picks plus a core of wide receivers, could be on the move to make. But at the beginning of that discussion, you heard Rich Eisen say that the thought right now is that a settlement is coming, which is why it would make sense. Now, there is the potential for Deshaun to make just one big settlement payment to every one of these women. So he would just go and give Harden a check for $20 million for Rusty Harden to split up amongst all of the women in question here. And that makes sense. That tracks. That makes sense with the fact that we haven't heard anything from either one of these attorneys. Rusty Harden isn't out in the news defending Deshaun. Tony Busby isn't out attacking him. It would track that a settlement is coming because of all of this, with these attorneys being quiet and now multiple NFL insiders saying that is the suspicion around the league. Again, I don't know what, if any, teams would be willing right this second to take a flyer on Deshaun Watson, to take that risk on Deshaun Watson. But Zoe, I'm getting the suspicion that's what's coming next for the former Clemson Tiger.
Yeah, and the fact that he talked about, being at the draft and hearing what people are saying, that's inside knowledge. So you were right in your suspicion that that's the reason why we haven't heard anything. So the question is, how soon will this happen?
Yeah, how soon does it happen? And again, the thing that you have to be concerned about if you are Deshaun is still, if this happens, if a settlement is reached, you still have to ask the question, what NFL team takes the flyer and signs the guy? Again, the inside chatter right now is that Deshaun faces a 4 to 8 week suspension from the commissioner's office for behavior unbecoming of an NFL player. So you're talking about a 4 to 8 week suspension. That's if he doesn't go on the exempt list, the commissioner's exempt list, and basically just get sat down for the whole season. Remember, Roethlisberger was in that same situation. Ben Roethlisberger caught I think he caught a 6-game suspension, if I recall correctly. Zoe, I don't remember if you remember off the top of your head. I want to say he caught a 6-game suspension for one woman, for one accusation. Well, it was more than one, but it was only like 2 or 3, and a couple of them came out after the first one. Deshaun's got 22 lawsuits, not accusations, lawsuits against him. 22 lawsuits against him. I wouldn't be shocked if the commissioner's office handed down a full season-long suspension. So even if a settlement does come in the next couple of days, Lonzo, even if a settlement does come, you're still looking at a guy who may have to sit out for a season, even if this is all done and he does settle. And if he's got to sit out for a year, he's not going anywhere yet. There might be a team that's crazy enough to take Deshaun knowing he's got to sit for a full season. But I doubt it. You got the legacy of Deshaun hanging over his head, which is not a great one right now. You got the legacy of Deshaun hanging over his head and the fact that he may have to be out for an entire season. You're not going to see a lot of people lining up to try to get Deshaun Watson underneath their helmet. I'm not trying to be a soothsayer and predict the future here, Lonzo, but the future is not bright for Deshaun Watson as of this moment in history.
So do you believe that he'll play another down in the NFL?
I do. Because if he settles, right? The one thing that a team cannot say is that he's a convicted felon. Now, if it goes, and even if it goes to a civil court, he still wouldn't be a convicted felon. But if he goes to a civil court and he loses in a civil court, if somebody is able to prove beyond a benefit of the doubt that Deshaun did the things he's accused of, then that label of sex offender is slapped on his chest forever. And you have to acknowledge as a football team that you have hired a sex offender as your starting quarterback, right? But if he settles, that label doesn't get stuck on, or at least not officially, right? Yes, he settled, but he could just come out and make the argument that, I didn't do it. There's plenty of evidence I didn't do it. It was just, I didn't want to get dragged into a years-long legal process and lose years of my career while I was fighting out a courtroom. if you are the GM of the Eagles, a team with 3 first-round draft picks, which I'd be more than happy to send 3 first-round draft picks to Houston for Deshaun Watson if his name was clean, right? You might look at that and go, all right, fellas, 3 first-round draft picks to get Deshaun, knowing that the ire of many an NFL fan is going to be thrown against us. Not that it matters. The money would still be coming in. But we would become one of the most hated teams in the league. Or we use those 3 first-round picks from next year to build up a better offense around Jalen Hurts, a guy who is younger than Deshaun, who has a skill set similar to Deshaun, if not as talented yet. And we see what we can do. If that label gets applied to him, though, in a court, even if it's civil where it's not a criminal complaint, if he loses and some woman is able to prove in a civil court that he did what she's accusing him of, I think the future is very dark for Deshaun Watson at that point, which is why that settlement, as much as it flies in the face of Deshaun a few weeks ago saying, I'm going to fight this tooth and nail to clear my name, if he turns around and settles, which is the opposite of that, he still doesn't have that label applied to him, and teams might be a little bit more willing to pick him up.
You know what I'm curious about? Is he still getting massages?
I don't know. He's had to have stopped, right?
You would think, but there's no guarantee, is there?
Not only at what I have to think he has, and I'm sorry to say this because I don't love, but I also understand. So if Deshaun Watson ever spends another minute alone with a woman who's not his wife or his girlfriend, I'd be shocked by that, right? I mean, if you're Deshaun at this point, I'm living alone in my own home. No woman's ever coming onto my property. Any massage that I get will be booked and supervised by whatever team I'm on through their masseuse, through their rehab clinic, done by a male masseuse. Like, I don't know. But as Rich pointed out there, the biggest smoke from this fire is the fact that Deshaun Watson went through, what was it, some 40-odd masseuses in a year and a half? And over half of them have brought lawsuits against him. That's why there are so many questions about Deshaun. That's why nobody is lining up to offer picks to the Texans for Deshaun. And that's why Deshaun's going to end up on the commissioner's exempt list and probably serve at least half a season, if not a full season-long suspension after this.
How would you like to be that young kid who's drafted to Houston? I mean, what a mess that is.
I mean, I wouldn't want to be drafted through Houston even if all this wasn't going on. It's an inept organization, right? Jack Easterby might be more appropriate. Jack Easterby's bad at his job. Nick Caserio is bad at his job. The McNair family clearly cares about bringing in money but not being a successful football franchise. I wouldn't want to. Houston and Jacksonville are the two teams that I don't care the scenario. I have no interest in being there. I don't know that a 3rd round pick has the leverage to say, nope, I don't want to play there, trade me. But even if Deshaun wasn't going through all this, Houston's just a bad place to play. Just a bad place to play. And now it's a bad place to play, and you got this hanging over that program. No, I'm all right. I'm good. All right, 844-477-3776, 844-GSP, ESPN is the number. Text 71307 to the Ingles Market text line, text with ESPN. Texter says, if I were to sign Watson, he would first have to pass a private polygraph exam. So here's where I turn into the actually nerd. Polygraph exams, they are not admissible in court. Did you know that? Because they're unreliable. Polygraph exams are beatable. They're very beatable with just a basic working knowledge of how to get your body rhythm, blood pressure, breathing rate under control. I can tell you right now, Lonzo, if I was the GM of the team, I'm not touching Deshaun Watson with a 30-foot pole. I don't want him anywhere around my program, despite the fact that he might be the most naturally talented quarterback under the age of 30 in the National Football League right now. I'm not putting that label on my team. Not a chance.
Yeah, me either. But you know what? Somebody probably will.
Somebody will. Exactly right. But they're going to let this whole thing get done first. Which is why I suspect that Deshaun Watson will end up settling before anything else. Let's take a break. We'll come back. Rob Brown, Lonzo, you. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown.
Did you? Oh, he's back on the live read. All right, I'm gonna hit the restroom, ladies and gentlemen. I will be right back. Leave your thoughts in the chat. I'll get to them when I come back. Oh, check 1 2. Check 1 2. Now I can't hear anything. There we go. My headset's messed up. All right, I'm back. Let's see. Over under number of games suspension for Watson, ask Ben. Ben, I'm gonna say over 8.5. I'm gonna set it at 8.5, and I'm actually gonna take the over. 10, maybe 12, maybe the full season suspension. Like I said, we've seen players with one accusation or one lawsuit brought against them get a 6-game suspension. I can't imagine that with a 22-game suspension that he doesn't face a suspension that is upwards of 8 games. I would my guess right now, Zoe, and I don't really have any inside information on this since he's not even on the list yet. But I would be 0% surprised to see Deshaun suspended by the commission for the entire season. He just never even gets to take the field, which is probably what the Texans are assuming, which is why they drafted a quarterback.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. He's done for the entire season. And, and we'll see after that because we've seen people be off for just how many counts it is. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. 1 is too many, but 22, that's a lot, man.
Yeah, and again, it's kind of one of those situations, if I'm being honest, where I always say that the accused get their day in court. The accused should always get their time to defend themselves, and I agree. And withholding judgment on this. If Deshaun Watson settles, like we had Wes call in earlier, if Deshaun Watson settles, you're going to have a lot of people who are going to start working under the assumption that he did it and he just doesn't want to go to court. That may not necessarily be true, but that's the assumption and I'm assuming to some degree the commissioner's office will likely take that stance, because remember, they're there to protect the shield, not the players, right? They're there to protect the shield, not the players. And since that is the case, my suspicion would be that they will suspend him for the year, just to let the fallout happen before he gets a helmet back on. But yeah, leaning towards 10, Ben, I'm with you. I'm thinking 10, 12 is probably the minimum. And my thought is, if you're going to suspend the guy for 12 games, so if you're going to suspend him for 12, you might as well just go I keep saying 16. It's 17. I forget. We're going 17-game season. If you're going to suspend him for 12, you might as well just go the whole length and suspend him for the whole season.
Yeah, absolutely. That's I really think that's that. I hate that we have to talk about this period, but it's definitely in the news. And so who is the Texans' backup quarterback?
Well, right now they've got Tyrod Taylor, who is likely going to be the starter at the beginning of the year.
As long as he stays away from the team doctor.
Yeah, exactly. I feel so bad for that dude.
30 seconds.
Playing pretty well for the Chargers too. They let it happen. They got Tyrod Taylor and Ryan Finley in there right now. And they just added Davis Mills, the Stanford QB. So right now your depth chart is Taylor, Mills, Finley.
Made for upstate sports junkies.
These pathetic junkies? Come on, look at them.
You eat sports like food every day. Get hooked on the Rob Brown Show, noon to 3 every weekday on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate. Rob, Lonzo, and you. We'll get away from the Deshaun Watson story for a few minutes. If you want to text us or call us about it, you are obviously welcome to. The Ingles Market text line is open at 71307. Start your text with ESPN. We can read them on the air, or call in at 844-GSP, ESPN 844-477-3776 if you want to be a part of the program. Mentioned this earlier in the show. Just do a quick little short segment here. But we might have ourselves a boxing match that's actually worth watching, as the biggest matches in the last year have been geriatric old guys going after each other in the ring, YouTube stars fighting retired NBA point guards, etc. But the Unified World Heavyweight Champion is on the brink of announcing an undisputed fight coming up. Anthony Joshua and your guy, Tyson Fury, who holds the only other world title in the division. It looks like they are on the brink of signing a contract to get that fight underway. And I have been looking forward to this one for a minute, man. For a minute, I've been looking forward to this fight. Anthony Joshua was on Troy Deeney's podcast. Troy Deeney is a soccer player over in Europe who has a very, very popular podcast that he hosts. He had Anthony Joshua on it yesterday. No, excuse me, 2 days ago. He had Anthony Joshua on his podcast, and he asked him about his upcoming fight with Tyson Fury. Here's what Anthony Joshua had to say about that fight.
How excited are you for that fight, or the potential of that fight, should I say?
It's such an interesting question, Kai. You got one end of it, yeah? But it's a bad mind. Like, am I excited? I ain't excited. It is what it is. I'm gonna smoke. I ain't excited for nothing, bro. Like, I don't care about nothing. I'm ready to just walk through a brick wall. Like, nothing's getting in my way. There's that mindset that I have, and that's why I said there's the guy next door, and this is the guy kicking off your front door.
Mm-hmm.
Are you excited to do a lick? Are you excited to make, right, this is what I do?
Mm-hmm.
But then there's a guy next door that, mate, as happy as the fans are, is as what an honor it is for me what honor it is for the whole world to be in a position where I can fight for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. History, great legacy, and a fight I know I can win. Listen, it's not going to be easy, but it's a fight where I know I can win. I'm ready to go through whatever pain, torture, adversity I have to go through in order to win. And that's why I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm so blessed and happy. And also, I know how much I'll be able to give back once this is all done. So once the fight's done and once the fight's announced, how much we'll be able to give back to people as well. So it's a real good opportunity for me.
Man, finally,
So that's Anthony Joshua, who is the current unified world heavyweight champion as he gets set to take on Tyson Fury, who holds the only other world title in the division. He said, I'm getting ready to walk through a brick wall and nothing is getting in my way. I'm ready to go through whatever pain, torture, adversity I have to go through in order to win. And that's why I'm really looking forward to it. So I know, and this has always surprised me about you, to tell you the truth. Man, I know you love a flashy fighter. I know you love a trash talker and entertainer. But Anthony Joshua, man, I love this cat. And I'll post the link to that interview for you boxing fans who want to listen to it. Anthony Joshua is a dude that is committed to being a good guy. That guy gives millions back every year. Or I shouldn't say most, I don't know that for a fact, but a chunk of every purse that he wins in these fights, he gives to charity. He runs multiple charitable organizations in the UK to help out the less privileged. The dude's a good dude. And here's the thing, though. He says all the things. Hey, man, I'm ready to walk through a brick wall. I know it's going to hurt. It's going to be torture. I've got to bring my best, etc. He's not flashy. He doesn't talk smack. He just goes out there and he wins. I had to tell you, Lonzo, Anthony Joshua v. Tyson Fury, that's the fight that boxing has been waiting for. I hope that they can promote it the way that fight deserves to be promoted. That fight deserves infinitely more promotion and praise than Floyd Mayweather, Jake Paul, or Logan Paul, or whatever idiot he's fighting. Man, I hope boxing takes his advantage. If boxing doesn't take advantage of this heavyweight fight, Lonzo, then even I will have to get to the point where I have to agree that boxing is just done.
All right. So you started to say something about that's surprising about me, but you never finished that point.
It's the fighters that you like, McGregor, Fury.
Okay, I thought that was a point you were making. All right, so here's the reason why I like those fighters, because you got to remember that I'm older, and when I grew up, the guy who got my attention, that got so many people's attentions, was Muhammad Ali. So every fighter to me, as far as personality side, as far as character side, I mean, as far as larger than life, I'm comparing to Muhammad Ali. I am looking for that next guy. So when it comes to the fight game, and it comes to boxing, and it comes to UFC, for the most part, those guys stand out to me. And I don't know why, but I think a lot of it has to do with childhood. A lot of it has to do with maybe for a kid growing up, seeing someone like that, it's almost akin to seeing a superhero, because of how brash and how out front they were and all that kind of stuff. And I like Tyson Fury, and yeah, his story is not that great, but what he's overcome is pretty cool. And the fact that he was able to rise out of the gutter that he put himself into and make it back to the top, and the fact that he appeared in a wrestling ring also, knocks him up a couple notches with me. And I like that, but that's what boxing needs. I mean, UFC, to a degree, there are some fighters that aren't flashy like that, like Stephen Thompson, who I really like. But the ones that everyone talks about are the ones who are on promos or all over the place because they're brash, they're outlandish, they're loud, that type of thing. And maybe trying not to get too philosophical, but maybe that's what I've always wanted to be and never will be. And so I appreciate it in someone else.
Yeah. I like the dude that wants to just go out there and win a fight. Just go win a fight, right?
But I appreciate those guys too. I absolutely do. But as far as boxing, Tyson Fury is one of the only guys that I can name.
Right, and that is what I'm saying. So here is a fight where Tyson Fury is going to be up against a guy who compares to him. This is probably the fight that Tyson Fury is most matched by the guy across from him that he has had in a very long time. Anthony Joshua is a guy with punch force that goes off the charts, man. The dude can slug. He throws cinder blocks at you, but he's quick. He's quick. He's got the style. He's got it's not a flashy style of boxing for Anthony Joshua, but it's very consistent. It's very old school. It's very measured. It's very tactical. I love the dude. And again, this is the best heavyweight fight that boxing has had in a while, man. And certainly in recent memory, maybe in the last couple of decades, this has got the best chance to be a great fight that we have seen in a very long time. And if boxing does not take advantage of this with these two guys on the card, talking the way they're talking, look, and I'll say this, for Anthony Joshua, who is sitting there talking about how this fight is going to be torture and this fight is going to be pain and this fight is going to be adversity and all that, and he's absolutely right. It is going to be. Tyson Fury, on the other hand, though, and he's lying, but Tyson Fury is telling people that he's not training all that much. He is not. He's drinking 2-3 pints a day. He's not taking it all that seriously because he knows he's the better fighter and yada, 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 which is interesting because if you've seen any promo photos of Tyson Fury lately, the dude's in the best shape of his life, man. He's cut weight. He's chiseled right now. He looks better than he has looked in a very long time. He is very clearly taking this fight seriously, even if he's saying he's not. And that's what I'm saying. This fight tonight, or not tonight, this fight, if this contract gets signed, which I can't imagine that it won't, this fight has the potential to be boxing's biggest match in very recent, I'd say extended recent memory. And if they don't take advantage of that, if they don't do everything in their power to promote this fight the way that this fight deserves to be promoted, I might as well just stop talking about boxing because it's never going to go to the next level.
Oh, it's going to happen. These are the quiet rumblings and the beginnings of something that's. I mean, it's been rumored to be happening for a while now. This thing's going to happen, and it's going to get all the hype it deserves because boxing needs it to.
844-477-3776, 844-GSP ESPN. Text us at 71307 on the Ingles Market text line, 71307. Let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute from right now. Plenty more to chat about, including why draft rankings aren't really all that much to pay attention to in the grand scheme of things. Zion Williamson, the Pelicans fall last night to the Warriors, but I've got a clip from an interview Zion did. I don't know how you dislike this guy. We'll talk about that. I got to stop talking smack about one particular NBA player, LeBron James, in some deep water. I'll tell you about that. And at 2:15, Abe Gordon from 92.9 The Fan in Atlanta joins us. I told y'all asked for a Falcons insider. I got one. All that coming up on the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say play.
Is Warren Moon available?
One minute.
Alrighty.
QC Kinetics in the next break.
Perfect.
Tweet at The Rob Brown Show on the Upstate Sports Leader, ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate. Rob, Lonzo, you. Be a part of the show, 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Text us at 71307. 71307 is the number to be a part of the program. About a week ago, and I meant to play this audio late last week, and it just got lost because we had so much going on going into the draft. But Zion Williamson was on the James Corden show a couple of days ago, and talking a little bit about his childhood and a little bit about his relationship with his mom and all that, and it was spectacular. And then James Corden asked him about his new shoes, the new Zions that just came out, which are sick, by the way. And he told this quick little story that I want to play for you. There are two specialty shoes that came out. One of them is multicolored. The sole and the outside of the shoe, it almost kind of looks to some degree like scribbles. And he told the story, the reason why it looks that way. And then the other shoe is this kind of interesting rose and gold pattern. He told the story about how he decided to go with those looks for those two shoes. And I just thought they're great stories. It's hard. It's hard not to be a fan of this kid. And you guys know that I love the human aspect when we can humanize athletes and kind of put them into the same light of just normal folks, especially when they're as young as and have such a good head on their shoulders, the way that Zion Williamson appears to. Here's that appearance on the James Corden show.
Let's talk about your signature sneaker, which is out, the Jordan Zion 1. It's available in 4 different colorways. We've got one here. This one I love. This is called the Noah, after your little brother. Talk to me about how this design, I love the sole, how this design came together.
The design came together because when I left college, I was looking for a shoe company to sign with, and I visited the Nike Jordan campus, and they gave my little brother a low-top Jordan 1. It was all white, and they said, here, Noah, create your own shoe, and they gave him a bunch of crayons. I know it's 5, so I don't know what they thought they were going to get out of him right then and there. So all he did was with every color just drew some scribbles on it. And a couple months later, they came and showed me a shoe with a bunch of colorful scribbles on it. And I said, oh, that's dope.
I mean, how excited is Noah to have a sneaker named after him. I mean, does he play ball? Is he good? He must be over the moon. I bet he can't believe it.
I think any 7-year-old would be super hyped about it, but Noah's mind, he's like, it's supposed to happen. I'm supposed to have my own shoe.
Oh, I love that. I love that. This other shoe, this I think is my favorite of the 4 colorways. This is a tribute to your mum. What's the story behind this? I absolutely love these.
The story behind that one is, from the picture you showed me, when I was in middle school, me and those group of guys, we were really close. We always talked about what we wanted to do when we got older. And, I always said I wanted to go to the NBA and play basketball. And they supported me, and my mom was there, toughest coach I ever had. But the environment that was around us was, if I'm being honest, it was a tough environment to try to make it out of. So that's why the pink at the bottom of the shoe, it represents the lotus flower, just growing and, blossoming.
I love that. Be honest, Zion, right? You very kindly sent these to me in my size, right? Now I know you probably didn't FedEx them yourself, but in my mind you did, okay? Be honest, can I wear these?
Yes, you can wear them. I think you look good in them. Honestly.
Okay, that's it. I'm wearing them tomorrow. All right. Now, obviously, these are...
So that's, that's Zion on James Corden's show. So we've talked about this guy a number of times, and I know I kind of keep coming back to it and keep coming back to why I like this dude. But how can you not, man? I mean, he designs a shoe to represent him and his mom's struggle to get into the next level, get out of where they were, lets his little brother design a shoe and then signs off on it to make it his own so that his little brother can have his own shoe. He's Keegan just said in the Facebook chat, he's so well-spoken and respectful. I think he's truly going to be the face of the NBA over the next few years. I got to tell you, man, this area ought to be damn proud, not just because the kid is a star, not just because the kid's a dominant NBA player, but he's just a good dude, man.
Yeah, more and more. I've talked about who my next NBA guy was going to be, and he might be getting there a lot quicker. Everything that we hear from him, and every time you play something from him, he sounds so cool, so grounded, and in a jaded world, you're afraid at some point that's going to be gone, and hopefully it won't be. Hopefully he'll stay this way his entire career and his entire life.
Yeah, I mean, again, look, the kid's 20 years old. There's still the possibility. Fingers crossed it doesn't happen, but there's still the possibility that that NBA influence might get to him. He may get a little big in the britches, but he's shown, as somebody who follows his career very closely since he plays for my favorite NBA team, he's shown zero signs of that so far. I mean, he has shown zero signs of that so far. 844 GSP ESPN. Speaking of a guy that I've been a fan of, LeBron in a little hot water because one of his teammates accidentally threw him under the bus this week. We're going to talk about that coming up next on the Rob Brown Show. Rob Alonzo, this is ESPN Upstate.
QC Kinetics.
Yep.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your computer and tablet at ESPNUpstate.com.
Our friends at QC Kinetics, look, they just want you to feel better, all right? They just want you to feel better. As you age, there is tissue inside of all of your joints, that prevent the bits that ain't supposed to touch from touching, the bits that ain't supposed to rub against each other from rubbing against each other. And when that connective tissue starts to wear down through the rigors of time and just general wear and tear, they start to rub against each other. The inflammation kicks in, the swelling kicks in, and that is where that pain in your left knee comes from after that round of golf. That's where that pain in the lower back comes from after picking up your grandkids. That's where that pain in the hips and the ankles come from after you get out there and you run 15, 20 minutes of pickup basketball. But the folks at QC Kinetics want you to know that you don't have to get sliced and diced by a surgeon in order to feel better. In fact, quite the opposite. Their non-surgical regenerative therapies help to rebuild that connective tissue and help your body heal those joints so that inflammation decreases, that soreness and that ache and that pain decreases as well. And they want you to be able to take advantage of their non-surgical regenerative therapies. That's why you got to visit our friends at QC Kinetics today. Check out their website at QC Kinetics, QCKINETIX.com, QCkinetics.com to learn all about the orthobiologic non-surgical therapies that they offer, or give them a call right now at 864-448-3772, 864-448-3772. They are in Greenville and Asheville, and they will get you set up with a free consultation. It's our friends at QC Kinetics.
Excellent. 1 minute.
1 minute.
Just realizing that A New Hope comes on next, and I'm going to be able to watch it and The Empire Strikes Back before I leave today.
Real, unfiltered sports talk on the Rob Brown Show, ESPN Upstate.
All right, the Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate. Rob and Alonzo and you. Interesting story that has developed around the Los Angeles Lakers as they fight to make their way into the playoffs. They have been missing Anthony Davis, who has recently made his return. LeBron should be back by this weekend. Anyway, Dennis Schroeder plays for the Lakers, and he did an interview with a news station out of Germany. And in that interview, he said that, quote, nearly the whole team is vaccinated. Only LeBron and I are not, I think, end quote. And then went on to say, quote, I can't go into quarantine again. If that happens now, I'll miss a whole round in the playoffs. I can't live with that, end quote. That is kind of interesting for a couple of reasons. The first is basketball-wise, right? The first is basketball-wise. The Lakers are not going to be a 1 seed coming into this thing like a lot of people thought at the beginning of the season that they would. The Lakers, as of right now, out in the West, find themselves as a 5 seed. They are working their way down at 37 and 28. They've dropped a couple this week. They're only a half game up on the Mavericks for the 6th seed. They're only a game up on the Trailblazers for the 17th. If the Lakers, with just a few games remaining in the regular season, if the Lakers were to drop 2 and get passed up, they could very well end up in the play-in tournament. The Lakers have 7 regular season games remaining. They've got one on Thursday against the Clippers, a losable game. Another one against the Trailblazers on Friday. That could be a half game that turns into a full game there. That could put them in the 7th seed. They've got the Suns, a playoff team. Then the Knicks, who are playing some of the best basketball the Knicks have played in years. Then they've got the Rockets, should be a win. A game against the Pacers, and they wrap up against the Pelicans. And who knows if the Pelicans might be playing for their very playoff lives. I mean, they'd have to have the ball break their way in a couple of places, but the Lakers could be playing the Pelicans, who are playing for their very playoff lives at that point as well. So anyway, Zoe, I got to tell you, if the Lakers end up in a spot where they're in the play-in tournament, and even if they don't, even if they go straight into the first round after the play-in tournament, if the Lakers go into that last seed, could you imagine what the response would be if LeBron James had to miss 1 or maybe 2 NBA series because being around the rest of the playoffs teams, he caught the coronavirus because he didn't get vaccinated? It is, as I have maintained, LeBron's decision on whether or not he decides to get vaccinated. Same with Dennis Schroeder. It is those guys' decision as to whether or not they get vaccinated. But it is also their decision if they elect to live with the consequences of not getting vaccinated, which would include, should they contract coronavirus or, because protocols are still in place, end up in close contact, registered contact with somebody who does have it, they would be forced to miss multiple playoff games. For a guy in LeBron, who has talked about how forward-thinking he likes to try to be, to the point it's gotten him in trouble in the past few weeks. Could you imagine the response from Laker Nation if LeBron refused to get vaccinated, was the last guy to get vaccinated on the Lakers, and ended up having to miss multiple playoff series because of it?
They need to be more concerned about his ankle and it being healthy and Anthony Davis staying healthy, because if both of those guys limping into the playoffs, they're in trouble anyway.
I don't disagree with that. I think that they probably were trying to be careful with those injuries. I think that, listen, LeBron, the rumor is LeBron probably could have gone this week. He may very well be pushed into the game on Thursday or Friday. AD probably could have come back a week before he did, but they wanted to make sure they're good for the playoffs. But now it might cost them. They may be in the play-in tournament as they try to defend their title. 844-477-3776. Text us on the Ingles Market text line at 71307. Quick break. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
ESPN Upstate, WYRD.
Off card in the first break.
Perfect. All right. I'm going to show you guys on the stream. Somebody's just pointed out another reason why the arguments against paying players is interesting. This is Dubs. Dubs is the mascot of the University of Washington Huskies, and he is obviously a Husky. Lonzo, you can pay for a virtual meet and greet with Dubs the Husky for an hour of your time, Lonzo, to meet and greet with Dubs the Husky. How much would you pay if you were a Washington fan?
If I were, I can't imagine being a Washington fan. First of all, if you're a fan, I'm going to go 50.
$800.
Wow.
$800 to meet and greet a Husky over virtual Zoom meeting.
I gotta say, and I could be wrong on this, but I think you could probably buy a purebred Husky for that much, couldn't you? Maybe, I don't know.
$800 to have a virtual Zoom meeting with a freaking dog. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, paying the players will damage the integrity of the greatness that is college football.
Check this out.
It's a flawed argument.
Brown Lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
Let's get it. The third, the final, the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show is on your radio now. This is ESPN Upstate. I am Rob Brown. The great Alonzo back in the network studio. 844-GSP, ESPN 844-477-3776 is the number to be a part of the program. Oh, I left it up for a reason, Lonzo. I left it up for a reason. Ladies and gentlemen, yet one more reason why protecting the integrity of the college football as an argument not to allow players to use their own name, image, and likeness in order to raise some fundos falls on deaf ears with your boy. The Washington Huskies have just put up on their Twitter account the opportunity for you to have a virtual meet and greet with Dubs the Husky. You can have a meet and greet with Dubs the Husky. And for it, it will only cost you a few $100s to spend time with Dubs the Husky their cheapest opportunity. If you would like to do a virtual meet and greet with Dubs the Husky for $75, you can spend 10 minutes on a virtual date with a dog. For a full $800, you can spend an hour. If you would like to meet him in person, it'll cost you around $1,000. That's to meet a dog, ladies and gentlemen. A dog to meet a husky. But if the quarterback of the Washington Huskies was to offer a meet and greet for $75 to meet your starting quarterback for 15 minutes, no. That, ladies and gentlemen, would denigrate the integrity of the game. It would be a slap in the face of the amateur excellence of college football if the quarterback of the Washington Huskies was to meet fans for 15 minutes for $75. But it's totally fine if the actual Washington Husky does it to bring money into the compound. I don't get it, Lonzo. I don't get it.
Definitely a slap in the face to the left starting guard, who will never see a penny because nobody wants to give money to the left starting guard, even though he's very important. But he's not the face of the franchise like the quarterback or the running back or the star receiver. So how is it fair to him that quarterback is going to get paid extra money on top of the salary that they already receive in tuition and food and wonderful facilities? By the way, right? Yeah, he does. Okay. Absolutely. So why should that quarterback, the star quarterback, get the extras just because he's the quarterback? Because this revenue is not going to be spread evenly across the entire team. It's only the star guys are going to get sponsored.
In what business anywhere is revenue spread fairly? Just name me one. It's not fair in our business, right? It's not fair in our. I'll pull the curtain back a little bit. When there are businesses that call the radio station and say, "Hey, we would like to have a live endorsement read out on the air," Zoe, whose names are the ones that are thrown at those businesses to make that extra money?
Those would be the people with the name on the show, yes. Unless the sponsors are smart and they realize that other people are also really good at doing advertisements.
Yes. The names that go up there are the show host, the people that are on the air, the people with the visibility.
See, but that would imply that I should not be jealous of all the money that you're making in radio, because I am absolutely jealous of all the money that you're making in radio. I know, you could tell.
No, I'm not saying that you should or shouldn't be jealous of the money that other radio hosts are making, to be abundantly clear. Hell, I'm jealous of the amount of endorsements that some other faces of the franchise get. All right, that's how the game works. But the point is, we don't change the system because of it, right? Yes, I promise you, as somebody who was never a skill position player, it bummed me out my junior year of high school when I had a crush on the lead cheerleader and I asked her to homecoming and she said, "Rob, I love you and I would go with you." But the starting point guard from the basketball team already asked me and I said yes. And I said, "You don't even know that guy." And she said, "I know, but he's the starting point guard and he's so cute." All right? That's never... my whole life, I have heard grown-ups say, "You got to get used to it. Life's not fair." Yes, I agree with you. But very rarely in a situation do we go, "Therefore, we are going to prevent anybody from benefiting from this situation," since one or two people might benefit more from the situation. That doesn't hold up for somebody who's been told his whole life life's not fair. I was a defensive end. I didn't get the chicks.
All right,
get called up to the podium at pep rallies like the linebacker and the safety and the quarterback did. I got told, "You're a lineman. Get to the back and go be happy with what you got."
Well, all I want to, if you let's be transparent. You're being transparent. They should be transparent and say, we want the star players to get paid. Sorry about everybody else. We're putting this out like it's going to be fair and it's going to be great for everybody. It's not really. We just want the star players to get paid more. That's all.
Or Zoe, don't create a straw man argument that I definitely didn't make. I'm saying players out there be able to make money off their name, image, and likeness.
No, stars are going to make money. Nobody else is.
Who will and won't make more, but I'm saying the opportunity is there. You don't think Penei Sewell in his senior year at Oregon wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to go open up some car dealerships as a visitor, as a VIP? Yes, the star players are going to make more. You know what other profession that's true of? Literally all of them. Literally all of them. That's not true. Sales make some more than we do. But you get the point. Zoe and I get backstage passes to all the sporting events. Zoe and I get sideline passes. That's why we.
No, you do. I only do if I ask you to share.
I'm sorry. Did I not tell you I had a sideline pass for you on Saturday? It's not my fault. You decided.
Yeah, you did. That
was cooler than hanging out with me.
By the way, that was a joke, and I think the boss would say that, working is cooler than just not showing up. That would be a bad idea.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But the point is, it's there. The opportunity's there. All right, let's do this. 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Text us on the Ingles Market text line at 71307, 71307. Texter says at ESPN, I'm very glad Zion stays away from the social justice bull blank. LeBron is a two-faced piece of trash. Okay. Yeah, I mean, look, I agree with you. LeBron made a mistake in that last tweet that he will be answering for a long time. And I know he's made some mistakes in his dealings. I don't consider LeBron James a hero off the court. I think LeBron James is outspoken, but I think like everybody else with a Twitter account, he's said some dumb things. He's still a great basketball player. At ESPN, I don't blame LeBron for not getting the jab. It doesn't guarantee you won't get COVID-19. You are correct. It 95% guarantees you won't get COVID-19. All right. It doesn't guarantee you won't get it. There's still that 5% chance. And as a Dungeons and Dragons player, I can tell you that 5% chance will make you think twice about rolling the dice. But it 95%. It has an efficacy rate of 95% across the board. If you want to roll the dice because, hey, I still got a 5% chance, that's on you. And it is your decision. It is your decision. I understand. I got mine as soon as I could get mine. I've been totally fine. No side effects other than the left arm that's growing another arm. All right, I'm fine. And my cell phone has outstanding 5G service now. All right. It's up to LeBron whether or not he wants to get the old stabby stab in the arm. It is 100% up to LeBron. I am not arguing that it's not. I am saying that while he faces he's got the decision, it's also his decision to face the consequence. And I will be interested to see what happens if LeBron ends up getting COVID-19. If he ends up getting COVID-19 and forces him to miss some playoff time. At ESPN, Rob, you shouldn't be jealous of what a coworker makes because you agreed to your contract. If it wasn't the amount of money that you wanted, you shouldn't have agreed to it. Left guard number 53.
No, wait, they're absolutely right. They are absolutely right. You signed that contract that's accepting that scholarship, and so you should get paid the same tuition that everybody else does. Anything else on top of that, that's a totally different thing. And they are making it sound like opens up the door for everybody, which I guess technically it does open up the door for everybody, but it's not for everybody. It's only for the star people. So you should come out and say, hey, we could care less about you starting left guard. We only care about the starting quarterback.
I got offered an opportunity to host a bar trivia game once a week to make some extra money. And I get a check. I get a little bit of money. I can get tips, whatever. So I host the bar trivia game once a week. And the only reason I got that job was because the guy running it was like, oh, you're Rob Brown. You're the radio guy. I know you. I'd like to give you an opportunity to make some money. Do you want it? Now, he wouldn't have offered it to, and I'm not making it up. I am doing that, but I'm making up this second half of the conversation. So I get to make extra money on top of my salary, on top of my radio contract. I get to make extra money by doing this other gig that I got because of the fact that I'm Rob Brown from the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. This guy, in my hypothetical scenario, wouldn't have offered it to Lonzo or Diesel or Chris the engineer or Tony the engineer or anybody else. He offered it to me because I have, and again, I'm not this big of an ego. I'm making this up for the sake of the conversation because I'm drawing a metaphor here. I have drawing power. People will come to the bar to see Rob Brown from the radio. They won't do that for Diesel or Zoe or Tony or Robert, etc.
I think he should have used it. I think he should have used a different example because Diesel is more famous than all of us put together. Put together, Diesel is the most famous person on this radio station. And I hope Mark Ryan is listening right now. Diesel is more famous than he is.
Listen, you're not wrong, but I'm making up a hypothetical here.
Okay, but the hypothetical has to have some points of believability. And right there, I mean, Diesel is a star.
All right, fine. Anybody but Diesel. All right, so I signed my contract at the radio station, and because of that contract and because of who I am, I got this other dude who offers me the chance to come make some more money based on my name, my image, and my likeness. He's not going to make that offer to Robert and Tony. Should I be told it's not fair to me to do that because Robert and Tony don't have the same opportunity? No, you would never say that, but that's literally what you're saying regarding these college players.
No, it's not because Robert and Tony make more money than we do also.
Take a break. Abe Gordon from 92.9 The Game in Atlanta coming up next on the Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ESPN Upstate.
The 2021 Upstate Golf Card is on sale now. Y'all, it's on sale now, and you need to get one, and you need to get it now because supplies are limited, and they will sell out. They will sell out, on the fly. They'll sell out because we give you access to 9 premier upstate courses. 9 premier upstate courses around the area. You're getting them all on the golf card for less than $15 around. It's over $450 worth of golf. You are getting it for $99. But you got to get yours now before they sell out. Go to upstategolfcard.com to learn more. See all the courses. Get the details. Buy one for you. Buy one for your family, your significant other, your friends. It's a great way to get out on the course this spring. Swing the sticks a little bit and do it on the cheap, less than $1 a hole. Go to upstategolfcard.com. That's upstategolfcards.com.
AutomotiveMap.com.
You appear to be flustered, so I'm going to stop talking because I know that I'm right.
I like that you're like, I'm not going to stop talking because I flushed you. I'm going to stop talking because I'm right.
This is one of those days where I'm surprised we don't have 10,000 weather alerts. But I guess it's just, for the most part, just rain. But it's been raining a bunch over here.
The next batch that's coming in is bringing damaging winds, quote unquote.
Not something you want to hear when your house is surrounded by 20 to 30 foot trees.
I'm sure it's not. Oh, and my power just flickered. Am I still connected?
Yeah, you're still good.
Perfect.
I think there's a course at a local college that will teach me how to have a better telephone voice. Just I'm never happy with my telephone voice.
You just gotta just a voice.
No, it's just it feels fake to me because I think I even go up an octave. I was just noticing.
Oh, my mom does that too.
Yeah.
My mom will talk to you like this and then, hello.
It does work out in some cases when I'm answering the phone and people don't realize it's me, because then I've heard so many things about me from callers not realizing they're talking to me, but that's always fun.
Why do you think people have a telephone voice? Everybody's got a telephone voice.
It's a part of my job that I hate the most, especially calling guests, because, I have a great fear of small talk. Don't ask me how I'm doing today. Please don't ask me how I'm doing today.
I have a telephone voice too. This is my normal speaking voice. If I'm just talking to you, it's like this. I answer the phone and I become a very professional version of Radio Rob Brown.
See, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be professional. Yeah.
This is Rob. Thanks for
calling. 44GSP ESPN. Text keyword ESPN and your message to 71307. Get in the game on the Rob Brown Show. Only on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show's back on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate. Did you see do we have Abe lined up? No, I forgot to ask. I sent you a message.
Yeah, we do. That's the whole and when you're talking to another radio guy, it makes it even worse when you think about it afterwards. It's like, why did I use that voice? This is someone who's in radio. They know what I'm doing.
To the phone lines we go to welcome in an old friend of mine, another gentleman that I had the pleasure of working for some time in an absolute bleak storm of sports talk radio back in the Florida Panhandle. He is now with 92.9 The Game in the ATL. He's a friend of mine both on the air and off. My man Abe Gordon joins us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Abe, what's up, fella? How you been, man?
Oh, everything's great, Rob. How are you, brother?
Good, big dog. Doing really well. Let me ask you a question before we start talking some ATL Falcons football. Do you have a phone voice? Like when you pick up the phone to call out or somebody calls you, do you have a phone voice that you just default switch to?
Not when I'm like calling a guest, because I always text them. They always know it's coming, so like it's not a shock. When I'm like cold calling to book, like if they're not expecting it, and I'll put on a little bit of a show and kind of talk with some confidence then. But when I'm just dialing them up to get them on the air, it's just normal voice.
I always tend to get like somehow more aggressive with my phone voice. It's always like louder and I drop an octave. Anyway, Abe Gordon from 92.9 The Game joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. All right, Abe, let's talk a little bit about the ATL Falcons before we get into specific picks. Overall grade for the ATL, bringing in Kyle Pitts up front. What are your thoughts on the overall draft of the Falcons?
Well, I'll say this in terms of a grade. I'm one of those guys that I'll let you know in 3 years when we actually see these guys get on the field and play for the team. But in terms of the idea and the premise behind the draft picks, I'll give it a B+. I mean, look, they went with the best player available at 1 in Kyle Pitts, at least on their draft board. And for the rest of the draft, they filled out needs while also going best player available. They didn't reach for running back, because that was a need. They obviously didn't mess around with a quarterback once Trey Lance was off the board. Some would argue that was a need. But they looked at what they had. They looked who was on the board. They took the best player available at those positions. It's definitely a B+.
A B+ overall. Let's start with their number 1 pick at number 4, and that is Kyle Pitts. Listed as a tight end, but the guy really is kind of that joker spot. He can play tight end. He can play receiver. He's tall. He's got length. He's got hops, no doubt about it. I will tell you, as a divisional rival, who will be seeing Kyle Pitts twice a year, I'm not super excited, because I think if there was one skill position player in this draft that just seems to have all the tools to be a breakout stud from day one, it's got to be Kyle Pitts, man.
Well, here's the thing about Kyle Pitts from my perspective as it relates to him being a great draft pick. is he a guy that's going to be running side by side with Julio Jones, or is he a guy that's going to be replacing Julio Jones? I mean, to me, that's the big difference in this pick. If you're taking him to improve the passing offense, improve the weaponry, all that stuff, you're keeping Julio Jones, then I love it. If you're just taking him to be a replacement for Julio Jones, now we're talking about more of a rebuild situation. Now I probably would have gone elsewhere. So I'm going to be optimistic. I think they're going to keep Julio Jones. And when you put him, like you mentioned, with Julio and Calvin Ridley, I mean, who are you double teaming? Who's getting single coverage? Or what sort of guy are you even trying to match up with Kyle Pitts, knowing that you got a corner on Julio, you got a corner on Cal Ridley? I mean, the guy, by every way, shape, or form, is described as a unicorn, and hopefully he could be that first of a new generation of tight ends.
I would be remiss not to ask you, and you just kind of went down that path, so we'll see if there's any new inside information making its way around the ATL circuit right now. My thought was Kyle Pitts was coming in to play alongside Julio, but also because he might be the most Julio-like replacement if he does get traded. I know that the discussion is more about cap room than it is about personnel, but any new news? Are we going to expect to see Julio Jones in black and red next year?
In terms of news, I would say no, but here's the situation. The Julio Jones chatter came up before the draft. We've now went through Kyle Pitts and what they did in the draft. We can get into that in a second, whether this was a rebuild draft or a win-now draft. But the other aspect of this is head coach Arthur Smith, coming over from Tennessee, has said, and pointed to Terry Fontenot as well, and he did have these comments. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, if you're looking to rebuild, you hired the wrong staff. But we are trying to win right now. And with that said, you can't defend that comment and then also trade Julio Jones. So while the discussion's been going on a little bit longer, it's just based off of that comment, I feel in my gut they're going to do everything they can to keep Julio. Financially, they got to figure it out. I don't pretend to read all the books and know what their situation is entirely. It's not a good situation. Right now, they don't have the money to pay the draft class, but you hope they can figure that out without Julio being the guy they have to move.
Matt Ryan, and we'll come back to the draft, but Matt Ryan gets a new toy in Kyle Pitts. We'll see if Julio's still there. Obviously, Calvin Ridley is probably one of the most underappreciated wide receivers in the whole league. There was some talk that Atlanta might go quarterback at number 4 overall and go ahead and start the rebuild for the post-Matt Ryan era, but it looks like they buy in. We hear from people all around the country that say, oh, we're over Matt Ryan. It's time to move on if you're the Falcons, etc. But we get very little chatter, or at least I do, very little feel for how the front office genuinely feels about Matt Ryan and how folks in Atlanta feel about Matt Ryan. To me, the dude's underappreciated. The numbers have been there to solidify him as one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. Does the new coaching staff have long-term plans to stick with Matt Ryan?
I would say medium length term. You're talking 3 to a max of 5 years left in Matt Ryan. On the short end, maybe 2, but at least 2. I mean, here's what I'll say about Matt Ryan, because you could have had this discussion a couple years ago. I don't think we're having it right now. Matt Ryan is not a top 7 or top 8 quarterback in the NFL, but is he in that 9 to 12 category? Without question. And I think people lose sight of that. There's a lot of guys out there, young guys and veterans, that I certainly would not be taking over Matt Ryan, that get a lot more love than Matt Ryan does. So I'm very comfortable with Matt Ryan. I don't think his play is diminishing to the extent that a lot of people are saying it is. I think some of the things around him, I think look, quarterbacks, wins is a quarterback stat, and if the team doesn't win, people blame the quarterback. That's fine. But the offense and Matt Ryan did more than enough to win a number of games last year that the defense ended up losing on their behalf, or the special teams Cowboys game ended up losing on their behalf. So I have no concerns about Matt Ryan. Look, we just saw Tom Brady with diminishing physical skills get it done. I know you, as a Saints guy, has seen Drew Brees with even more diminishing physical skills to a very high level still get it done. So for me, Matt Ryan is the least diminished physically of any of those three guys. So I'm very comfortable with what Matt Ryan is doing, where he's at. And like you said, with Julio Jones, Kyle Pitts, Calvin Ridley, Hayden Hurst, hopefully Arthur Smith bringing a run game, very comfortable where the offense is heading into this season.
Abe Gordon from 92.9 The Game in the ATL joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Looking through the rest of that pick, went big in the defensive backfield on the defensive side. Richie Grant in the second round and Darren Hall in round number 4. We knew that the defensive backfield was going to be a big question mark from the ATL, some free agent departures, et cetera, and in a division that Sam Darnold is going to try to break the chains of the New York Jets with Carolina. We don't know if Jameis Winston is a 30-pick, 30-touchdown guy again, or if that LASIK surgery under Sean Payton's tutelage will take him to be the player he was supposed to be. And obviously, there's some nerd down in Tampa Bay named Tom that you have to face off. Does Atlanta feel more comfortable with their defensive backfield after bringing 3 guys in through the draft?
No, you don't. You picked up a couple guys in free agency, but look, as you mentioned, you let Keanu Neal, starting safety, leave in free agency. You let Ricardo Allen, you'd straight up released him with 1 year left on his deal. That was financial reasons. He was the defensive leader in that secondary. I mean, look, A.J. Terrell had a breakout season. You got a starting point there, all right? You have a true number 1 corner. You can bring him in. Richie Grant's supposed to be put right in there day one and start. But you brought in some guys in free agency that are like borderline starters, rotational guys. You have a couple guys that maybe you could play at nickel, but you really don't trust as a number 2 corner. There's a lot of questions in the secondary that need to be answered. And look, whether that's going to be the weakness of this team or not, I mean, Arthur Smith brought in, longtime defensive coordinator Dean Pease to fix this defense. There's going to be a lot of modifications. It's not going to look the same as it has in recent years. And the secondary is definitely one of the question marks. But you do have that starting point with A.J. Terrell. So you just hope. I mean, like you said, we got 3 guys in the defensive backfield, 4 guys here. That you got to get 2 starters out of them. You have to. So you pencil in Richie Grant, and you hope Darren Hall is that other guy. But 4th round DBs thrown in week 1. I mean, that's a concern. No doubt about it.
We are speaking with Abe Gordon from 92.9 The Game in Atlanta. You guys asked for a Falcons insider, so I went to my dude. Let's talk about the new coaching staff. How is the development? I mean, I know we've got Matt Rule making his way through his 2nd season there in Carolina. The Carolina fans seem to, this guy's growing on them immensely. And obviously he's had more time in the saddle than Arthur Smith has had in the ATL. When that hiring was made, I didn't really sense any ripples of excitement out of Atlanta about who the hire was. It was almost more excitement that Dan Quinn was just finally gone and maybe talent would stop being wasted in the ATL. So now that they've had some time in the saddle, now that they've gotten through the draft, a couple of weeks from OTAs, what's the temperature gauge on how the new coach is handling his business?
Yeah, it's been an interesting reaction, and you probably know this being a Saints fan, but there seemed to be more excitement about Terry Fontenot, the GM, joining coming from New Orleans than there was for Arthur Smith. But I think that'll come as we see the product on the field. I mean, look, and first off, I'm a Matt Rule guy. I've hung out with Matt Rule. I know him from his college days. I'm a big fan of Matt Rule. He came in with a different situation there in Carolina because it was a given rebuild. Like, they literally told you, hey, we're on a full rebuild, so y'all need to be a little patient. We didn't get that here. We got kind of the opposite. We're not here to rebuild. We're going to try and win now, blah, 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 blah. So that excitement, like, you don't have he's not going to have the patience that Matt Rule is going to be given because he said that. I mean, he's got to come and win now, like they said. So, look, we know what Arthur Smith did in Tennessee. People were very excited about that. Cool. You don't have Derrick Henry. So, like, let's keep it realistic here. I mean, we got a unicorn at tight end. We don't have that unicorn at running back that Derrick Henry was. So, you're going to bring that power rush game and all that stuff. Like, it's just not going to happen season 1. So, I'm a little bit more hesitant to jump on board. I'd like to see some of the changes, but whether you want to say you're winning now or not, whether you want to say you're rebuilding, you're going through like a transitional period. It's like a 2 to 5 year period where there's going to be a lot of changes here. So I'm going to wait it out with Arthur Smith. But you're right. The excitement level wasn't crazy. I think a lot of people looked at Kansas City's Eric Bieniemy and kind of penciled him in as the guy that we were going to bring in and take advantage of this new offensive mindset the league has. And while we did go with an offensive mastermind, if you want to call him that, it wasn't the guy a lot of people had been expecting. And so I think that was a little bit of a damper on the hire.
More of a, and you brought up his name, and I'm really glad to hear that because I got to tell you, the acquisition that most concerns me as the biggest rival of the Atlanta Falcons, as an NFC South rival down in New Orleans, is the acquisition of Terry Fontenot. I mean, Mickey Loomis has, for years, the Saints have gone into every year, they're in cap hell, and every year Mickey Loomis has managed to navigate them through. Terry Fontenot has been a guy who has been learning from Mickey Loomis for many years, and I got to tell you, I think he's listen, y'all dealt him a bad hand in having to come up and deal with the cap situation that you find yourselves in, and it may cost Julio Jones at the end of things. But the feeling I'm getting right now is that Terry Fontenot is already earning his value there in Atlanta, and I think Falcons fans are coming around on that.
There's been a lot of drafts in the past couple of years under Thomas Dimitroff that there were a lot of questions about who were drafted, and you look 2-3 years down the road, people are already like moving past that. Like, hey, we got to make sure we hit on the second round pick. Like, we've missed on the second round pick a lot under TD. People are already counting Richie Grant as like, a 10-year starter. So the excitement there, like you said, yeah. But let me say something about this idea of cap hell. Cap hell only exists when you're in a bad salary cap situation and losing. Like, when you win, there's no such thing as cap hell. Your guys figure out a way to get it done. Like, look at the Buccaneers. Like, they weren't supposed to be able to bring back everyone, but they brought back everyone because they're winning, and people take pay cuts and extensions and all that stuff. It's different when you're losing. So the idea of cap hell, and you saw that in New Orleans, the idea of cap hell only exists if you're losing games and you need to cut salary because of that. If you're winning, there's no such thing. So hopefully they can figure out a way to keep Julio, and if they win a couple games, the idea of that will kind of slide away.
Abe Gordon from 92.9 The Game in Atlanta joining us. All right, Abe, listen, I have over the years just gotten to the point where I don't even make predictions about what the Falcons are going to look like anymore, because every year I look at the roster and I go, this team is too damn talented to be a 4-win football team again. And then every year they find a way to do it. I'm hoping with a new head coach, a new GM, that trend will go away. But I am not going to be overconfident with your Falcons on the air again until they prove to me that it's the right decision. Instead, I'll put the onus on you. Your way too early prediction for where the Falcons end up in the NFC South.
Yeah, I mean, it's a ridiculous question to ask, right? Because we just don't know. And honestly, I think of all the teams that are going to be hurt by a second offseason of pandemic limitations, this year, at least Panthers dealt with it last year with the new head coach. We're dealing with it this year with the new head coach. Really would have liked to have had guys a lot more in person there, but with a veteran quarterback, I think they can get stuff done. And you're right. You look at his offense, how could they possibly not score 35 points a game? How could they possibly lose, double-digit games? But here we are. So with that said, Falcons are the only team in the NFL this season with only 7 true home games. One of their home games is given up to London. So only 7 home games. They do get the Jaguars. You hope that's early when Trevor Lawrence hasn't figured it out yet. This is pessimistic. I know I'm not going to buy in on a full, complete reversal of fortune. I'm going to say that they finish, and I hope I'm wrong. I could very easily be wrong. I'm going to say 7-10. Remember, there's 17 games. I got to redo all my math, which is not comfortable on the spot. I'm going to say 7-10. I don't know how they beat the Buccaneers home or away. just like I do every year, split with the Panthers, split with the Saints is what you're hoping for, home and away. You can beat the Jaguars and you deal with the rest of the schedule. I'll say 7-10.
7-10, says Abe Gordon, and it certainly will be the first of many times we'll get him on to talk a little Falcons football. Abe, my man, it's great to catch up with you, buddy. It's been too long. You and I need to do a Zoom with a couple of fingers of bourbon sometime at the very near time. Go ahead and get your Ian Book parting shot in before you get off the air.
I'm just saying, I mean, that's the plan. I get that Taysom Hill's not the future, but boy, if Ian Book's the future, the Falcons are set up for a long, successful run in the NFC South.
Hey,
that's all I'm saying.
The last 6 foot tall quarterback from Indiana with a birthmark on his face did pretty well. So Sean Payton's a quarterback whisperer. You know what's coming.
Is he though?
Or
did he catch an all-time great?
And this is
did he catch an all-time great?
No, I mean he caught an all-time great, but keep in mind there were 30 other, 29 other teams in the league that could have made a move on him and didn't.
Look at Belichick here. What happens if he fails with Mac Jones, which everyone's saying is, quote, the perfect guy for Belichick? What happens if he fails with Mac Jones? Are we just totally off of the Belichick is great?
I already am.
Boat?
I already am.
Because it took Brady because it took him 1 year to prove that it wasn't Belichick at all.
Yeah.
It took him one season.
Yeah.
If Belichick misses with Mac Jones, dude, his legacy's taking a hit.
Oh, yeah. Listen, at the end of the day, he's always going to walk around with 6 Super Bowl rings on. No doubt about it. But to me, yeah, it took one. You got to think it's knee jerk. It took 1 year to prove.
That's like
that
saying
it was
you're Jesse Owens' track coach, though. You may as well call yourself Jesse Owens' track coach. When you have the most talented guy in the world, yeah, you're going to come up with 4 gold medals every 4 years. I mean, it is what it is. So,
Abe, let's do it again real soon, big fella.
Anytime, brother. Let me know.
You got it. That's Abe Gordon from 92.9 The Game in the ATL. You can follow him on Twitter at Abe Gordon. Tremendous NFL follow and a good guy to have around. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show with ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown.
Hey, Lonzo.
Yes.
The Bad Batch episode 1 just dropped on Disney Plus.
I know.
Woo, buddy. Guess I got something to do after the show today.
Yeah, I'll get to it eventually.
Are you going to wait for the whole season to come out? You're going to watch it week by week?
No, what I meant is I'm still going to be here.
This struggle is so real for Zoe today and tomorrow. Hitting the restroom. Be right back.
1 minute.
All right.
Thirty seconds.
Perfect.
You talked about effects not aging. A New Hope. They just did a long shot of Tatooine. It was not good.
Yeah, but in fairness, that one had some.
Rob can read, so he says. Email Rob Brown at ESPNUpstate.com and we'll put him to the test. This is the Rob Brown Show. Local sports talk on ESPN Upstate.
71307 Eagles text line. Quick text on some of the chats that have come in at ESPN. Thank you for sharing some Falcons football today. You are very welcome. It is my pleasure at ESPN. Lonzo, when did you become a socialist? It is quite literally fair for everyone, literally fair for every single player on the team to use their likeness to make money, end quote. Lonzo, you just called a socialist, man.
Very offended by that. I'm not a socialist, by the way. These people are already paid. Wow. They're already paid. They're just
allowed to make a certain amount of money.
Well, it's the rule they signed up for. They don't have to play football.
At ESPN, Hurricane Jeff says, LeBron may be an outspoken member of the NBA, but off the court, he has done a lot of good, including funding a school for underprivileged children, along with providing them with bikes and other items to help their education, where they might not have gotten that opportunity otherwise. Yeah, I agree. I'm not saying LeBron's pretty far from perfect, but I think LeBron's done more good than he's done harm.
Even so, one misstep can erase all of that.
What was the Pirates of the Caribbean Jack Sparrow quote? One good deed may not do enough. One good deed may not do enough to save a man, but it seems enough to condemn him. Anyway, let's do this. I know it's a super short break. And ESPN, I think I just heard someone burp on air. Did I burp on air earlier? I don't think I did. Did I?
I don't believe that you did. There was some noise going on Abe's end, and also we had some monster lightning strikes, and it may have caused a slight interruption, and it may have sounded like a burp.
Yeah.
No, if Rob were to belch on the air, it would be manly and lengthy.
And if there's one thing we are, though, it's a show for men. I also drink like 2 of these bottles of water, carbonated water a day, so I'm not saying it's impossible. All right, quick break. Coming back. Twitter trending topics to wrap up the show next. I'm Rob. He's Zoe. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ESPN Upstate.
From the 106.3 WORD.
Bye, Lonzo.
Hi, Rob.
Hi, Diesel. Diesel didn't want to be on the stream today. You want to show off those Schmedium arms, Diesel?
I don't have time to get that started right now.
I don't care. Oh, I need a nap, ladies and gentlemen. Diesel, you don't take naps? I don't know why I'm asking you that. You're the model of health and consistency.
At the health fair, we only care about one kind of fat, belly fat. It increases the risk of heart attack, stroke, cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol, anxiety, and depression. Inches on your belly can be years on your life. It's not worth ignoring. So call the health fair. We specialize in blasting belly fat. And at the health fair, the second person is always free. Because we won't let you do this alone. Call 1-877-I-DARE-ME or go to idareme.com.
These days, nearly every small business owner is looking for ways to cut costs. And that's where Spectrum Business comes in. They have the best business internet and phone available at prices that are up to half off what you're paying now. That's right. You can cut costs for your business and get faster internet. Just what small businesses.
Did you hear those two? Well, I forget where you live. You live all the way over at Wade Hampton, so you wouldn't have heard it. But I guess about 20 minutes ago, there were two huge lightning strikes, like right on top of the radio station.
Yep.
And I was in my Jeep when the first one struck. And I was like, I got to get the hell out of here and get the hell inside. And then not even 20 seconds later, another huge one right on top of us.
Yeah, it probably wasn't as bad here as it was there, but I definitely heard him. I had a power flicker a few minutes ago.
Uh-oh.
Tuesday is $345 million. Be sure to stop by your local South Carolina Education Lottery retailer and get your ticket today. See SCEducationLottery.com for jackpot odds at a store near you.
Here's what's happening on the internet. Let's see what Rob Brown knows about it. Topic number one, Daniel Jones is trending.
Oh, hi there, Diesel.
Hello.
How's it going, buddy?
Hey. Feels like old times.
It does, and we get it what? We get it today and tomorrow, too. Get the band back together. It's like a mini reunion, man. It's like a mini reunion. Daniel Jones is trending right now. I don't know exactly why. I'm assuming something to do post-draft or workouts or something, but somebody pointed out yesterday that Daniel Jones, 27 career games. 27 career games. Take a stab, Diesel, in the Rob Brown Show Home Edition. How many interceptions and how many fumbles does Daniel Jones have in his career through 27 career games?
I'm going to say 12 interceptions and 4 fumbles.
How about 22 picks and 29 fumbles?
Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah. Good luck. Listen, Kadarius Toney was a heck of a pickup for the Giants in round 1, but they should probably try more than like 6 buckets as offensive linemen, and they might actually have a shot. So there you go.
All right. Next Twitter trending topic. Big Boy is trending.
Big Boy?
B-O-I, Big Boy.
Oh, Big Boy, like Outkast Big Boy.
Yeah, like the rapper.
Gotcha. His birthday? I don't know.
He's trending because people are comparing him to Andre 3000 again. It says again. And I don't know that it happened the first time, but I can only take Twitter for their word. So, yeah.
That's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Big Boy, of course, one half of the incredibly popular band Outkast. I don't know, man. Big Boy's going to go down as one of the most underappreciated rappers of all time. Everybody knows Andre 3000 because he had the look and he had the charisma. I mean, Andre 3000 was just the face of Outkast, which was a great group for so long. But man, Big Boy cleaned up for Outkast for a very long time.
Next up, hashtag Mandalorian is trending.
Yeah, so it's May the 4th. May the 4th be with you, by the way, Diesel.
And also with you? I grew up in a Christian household.
The Catholic Jedi. Yes, it is May the 4th. And so on Twitter, they have put out a special hashtag. If you hashtag any of the characters today, there's a little emoji that will pop up next to them. I don't know if that is the reason that Mandalorian is trending because people are just putting out all of the emojis on certain tweets. But it is May the 4th, and there is a Star Wars marathon going on TNT right now, Diesel. So if you need me later, text me because I can't answer the phone because A New Hope's on.
It's trending because Pedro Pascal tweeted out a behind-the-scenes photo of himself removing the helmet, which was kind of the whole thing about the Mandalorian. You can't take your helmet off.
Yes, except for that one time that he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next up, 3D printed housing communities are trending.
That's a very, very long tag.
Yeah. I guess they're talking about 3D printing housing communities.
There is a giant 3D printer now that can print full houses, and there is an effort to try to create a material, I guess, that would be, would be a long-lasting material. Because if we get to the point where that material would be made cheap and 3D printing is as easy as it is, there talks about you can just start 3D printing houses. You can just print houses all the time.
Well, fine. You can take the damn lumber prices and shove them up your where. They're crazy right now.
Yeah.
Have you tried to go buy a 2x4? Man, you need to tap into your 401k. It's getting wild out there.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take the 3D printed house if that's an option, please, because I'm not trying to sell my car for some plywood.
Yep. Bill Gates is trending.
Yeah, Bill Gates announced, along with his now ex-wife, Melinda, Bill and Melinda Gates are getting a divorce. And somebody earlier, Diesel, said that the next press release will be an announcement that Bill Gates is changing the name from Microsoft to Macrohard. That's a better joke than it got credit for. All right? That's a better joke than it got credit for. That's going to do it. We turn the mic over to, Diesel and Mark Ryan for Offsides. Make sure you stay tuned for that. My name is Rob Brown. For Lonzo, thank you for hanging out. We'll be back tomorrow to try all over again, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great day. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. This was the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. Later. Those of y'all on the stream, appreciate you hanging out with us. We will be back tomorrow to do it all over again. Have a good rest of your day, amigos.